Hello and welcome to another episode of Something Up My Sleeve, where we ask magicians what is up your sleeve? What makes you you? What makes you a valued performer in our craft? I am your host, Michael Dardant, and I'm excited to be here yet again. I still can't believe that I get to do this. This is such an amazing opportunity to get to talk to magicians all over the world. We have a great program for you tonight, starting with a magician who is all over the world, Vincent Hedan, who's been traveling everywhere. In fact, this was pre-recorded because there was like a 13-hour time difference between us. Normally, I don't even say when it's pre-recorded. I try to see if I can fool people by wearing the exact same outfit, but it had to be discussed, mainly because you're only going to see part one of the program. There was not enough time to show it all in this segment, so I'm going to have a special extra showing of Something Up My Sleeve next Tuesday night at the exact same time. So a week from today, you can watch, if you like what you see here, the full 90-minute episode of the interview of Vincent Hedan. So I will remind you later, but stay tuned for that. We'll be showing that next Tuesday. Before I begin with that, I want to point out that we do have an amazing convention coming up in Pittsburgh that you should know about. The International Brotherhood of Magicians is putting on their national convention in Pittsburgh. Boom, here it is. Go to magician.org and click on convention to register. It's going to be amazing. Later in the show, we have the promoter of that convention, Jason Michaels, on the show, and he's going to talk to us more about the lineup and what we have to be excited about there. And other than that, I just got back from the 4F convention. Those of you in the magic world know what an amazing opportunity that is. One of the most prestigious close-up magic conventions in the world. Super excited to talk about that. So we plan to have an after party after this where we're going to bring in some of the members that were there to discuss kind of what went on during that 4-day amazing event. But for now, let's get into it because we have so much amazing stuff for Vincent to talk about. I'm going to let past Michael introduce him. This is present Michael now, but past Michael is going to introduce Vincent to you. I give you the part one segment of Vincent Hedan. Magic, but he blows my mind every time I'm around him. He's an amazing mentalist, and now he's become a minimalist. So he's going to talk about that. So his background isn't even real; it's magic. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Vincent Hedan to the program. Welcome to
Hello,
Something Up
hello.
My Sleeve, Vincent. First of all, where are you?
So right now I'm in Kuala Lumpur, if I'm pronouncing this properly. That's
I
the
don't
capital
know.
of Malaysia.
Oh, you're in
Kuala
Malaysia,
Lumpur. Yeah. I've been here for 2 months and I'm leaving in 2 days.
and what have you been doing there?
So this is part of a first cycle of travel that I started in August. So in August 2022, I left France. I used to live in Paris for 10 years. And for various reasons that we can discuss later, I got fed up with everything and I decided I want to see more. And so I left everything with just two bags, two backpacks. But I'm not, how to say, I'm not a jungle guy, so I didn't go into the wilderness to lose myself. I like cities, I like connectivity, I like to be connected to the world. So I decided to visit big cities in Southeast Asia, mostly because that's where I studied originally. And I'm trying to find a new home, basically. So I've been doing one country per month since August. And I loved some locations and I hated some others. And so Kuala Lumpur is the last one on my list. I'm taking holidays in Japan for 3 weeks in 2 days. And then I need to find a new home, like a more permanent base, because I've been traveling a lot.
I definitely cannot see you as a jungle guy, whatever
No,
that means,
look at the sun.
whatever our
It doesn't
vision.
work in the jungle.
But I figured that's when I'll know that things have really gotten bad is if you show up at my doorstep and you have a full beard and you've been like wandering through the
And
jungle
dreadlocks
surviving.
and
If that's you, then I'll know like, okay, things have gotten real. It's time to focus because like it's the apocalypse. Like that's why
it's an intimation.
I wasn't concerned about COVID. I was like, it's fine. We're gonna be fine because Vincent Hadan doesn't have a full beard yet. So I figured like this is not the actual apocalypse. We're gonna be okay.
But
Yeah.
actually, COVID played a big part in that. Most countries now I've been talking to told me it was the same situation everywhere, like a lockdown for a few months or a few weeks, depending on the countries. And in France, we had a lockdown for 2 months. And it really made a lot of people, not just me, realize what was your situation. because when you're locked in your place for 2 months and you can legally not leave your place for anything, it was not like China with guns everywhere, but still in France was pretty serious. You start to think, wait, am I happy where I'm living? Is the space around me good for me? Is the city I'm in, when I'm going to go out, am I happy to go out again? Or is it going to be a chaos when I go out? And that's also when I realized I was basically what they call location independent. Like the work that I do, which is mostly creating, translating, and distributing my work, I don't need to be anywhere, because during lockdown, I was locked down and my activity was still, unlike live performers, thriving. So I realized, wait, I'm in Paris paying an awful rent, locked in an apartment. I could be anywhere. I could be Tokyo. I could be in Berlin. I could be anywhere. So let's do that. Let's be anywhere else than home.
That's interesting. That's a very interesting way to put it. I think it had that effect on many people, and both negative and positive. Some people went stir crazy. Some people realized they don't like where they are, and then some people like me realized, hey, I can be happy just staying home with my cats.
Yeah, I mean, it's been hard. You and I are weird cases because we don't have like a real day job, a respectable day job. But most people.
I think
France,
my sister will admire how you put that. I wish she was here to hear you say that. I don't have a respectable day job. Yes, exactly.
But for a lot of people, at least in France, I don't know about the US, it was really hard to bring people back to the office because they realized, wait, I can be productive at home. I don't need to do the commute. I don't need to talk to Steve at the water cooler. I don't need to do all that. I can just be home and happy.
Forget Steve. Anyway. Nobody wants to talk to Steve. And people, the fact of the matter, Steve, we don't even like you. So yeah, you can go hang out at the water cooler by yourself. It did change things and kind of opened opportunities, and at the same time, it made people realize that there's a lot of expenses that they don't need. There's a lot of
that too, yes,
time wasters we don't need. It showed us how to connect in different ways. Do you think that we've sort of gotten a little spoiled in that sense of the fact that we're now in other words, now people are people having Zoom meetings when they should be having actual meetings? Like, are we taking advantage of that?
I will always prefer seeing you in a bar in Paris or in a bar in New Orleans, like we did when we actually met, over this.
Sure.
Because there is a rhythm element, a chemistry that's very important for anything, for my family, for my friends, for my colleagues. But at the same time, like you said, it was an opportunity for a lot of people because I started seeing you, for example, broadcasting on Twitch video games. VR. I saw you doing Beat Saber.
Yep.
I saw people creating amazingly ingenious shows on Zoom. I'm not talking about just doing magic for the camera that doesn't work, but actually thinking about the medium and coming up with great solutions for that tool. And if you didn't have the apocalypse, then nobody would have come up with these solutions. And I have a few friends who still keep 50% of their work as Zoom performance because it's more convenient. They can be anywhere in the world. You don't need to be how do we say in English? When they make you take a plane to go somewhere, you can just stay at home.
Oh, commuting
to the camera. Yeah.
Commuting. Oh, that's actually one of the questions there's two questions that I completely forgot that I usually start with that I need to ask you. And one is, are you wearing pants?
I am wearing pants actually because you never know.
Okay, I'm not, as per your request. So I'm not, but you can't tell. But I have my
exactly.
I am wearing the tie you like with Bugs Bunny. I remember I wore this. You liked my tie a long time ago when I had this. I think it was in New York, or maybe you were just being
people
nice.
People should know that because they're just looking at two guys talking like it's never been a long time separating us. But first of all, for you, it's 8 a.m. in New Orleans, and for me in Kuala Lumpur, it's 9 p.m. So there are 13 hours difference. That's crazy enough.
Right.
But also, we haven't met in 5 years, 6 years. But I think last time I was in the US was 2016.
2016, and
4F.
That was the last time we were there for. It wasn't the last time you were here. Wasn't when you came to New Orleans then, because that was around the same.
It was before that.
It was okay.
Because if I remember correctly, you and I did our first year at 4F the same year in 2011.
And that's where we met, right? We did some other conventions together, but I was trying to remember. I believe, so 2011 is when we met.
That's the first time, at 4F. And then we did 2012 because that was our second year. And I think I did a third one with you. And then we went to Canada together. That's where we did the small lecture tour.
Yeah, which included New
We
York,
went to Long
because
Island.
we were in Times
Yeah,
Square together. So that
yeah.
was that the lecture tour? Okay, so yeah, I
And
was
then we
trying to
went to New
remember.
Orleans. That's why I visited your home. Beautiful home, by the way.
Well, now I'm in a different place.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, actually, I've moved twice since then, but I was in that house for 15 years. It has been kind of a nice change of pace, because you know how crazy the French Quarter. Well, you know firsthand how crazy the French Quarter
Well, I
is.
had one night there, and I was left wanting more, but it was an amazing time. Yes.
But at the same time, so you've already visited here, and you didn't decide that this would be your new home. So of the countries and cities you visited,
Actually, New Orleans with Chicago and New York is possibly on my top 3 of American cities.
oh, awesome.
From that one experience, thanks to you, if I had to go back to the US, and I was supposed to go in 2020 just before COVID hit,
Oh,
I was booked to lecture at Tannen and to go see Mark de Souza in Philadelphia and do another couple of dates. And I thought I should go to New Orleans because it was great. But then COVID happened, and now it's 5 years later.
well, I wish you were going to be attending.
3 years
We
later.
we go to 4F in almost, well, less than 2 weeks actually. I wish
Yeah.
you were going to be there. You
I
definitely
had a
would be
couple of
missed.
guys messaging me, say, "Are you going to come? Are you going to come?" I say, "I'm sorry, I'm sort of stuck on my cycle in Southeast Asia." So
Yeah, it's pretty far, but you're in the future, so it's good because you can tell us what's going to happen.
yeah,
Well,
exactly.
that and you're a mentalist, so you should already know what's going to happen. In fact, you probably know what question I'm about to ask, but what is
I'm ready.
what is something up your sleeve?
Well, I have no sleeves because it's way too hot in here, so no sleeves for me. I have the air condition on because it's like 35 degrees Celsius. I don't know for the US because you tend not to use science to calculate things, so I don't know what system you use.
One day
But
one
in
day we're going to
Fahrenheit, I don't
learn.
know.
We will learn to use science. It's gonna take a while. We're evolving, but but eventually we'll learn to use science. No, metaphorically speaking, what is something up your sleeve?
So I've been working for the last few months on a release that was last month for Pi Day. You might know Pi Day, no? So pi, not the pie that you eat, but the pi, the number that's infinite. You know the symbol, right? Pi,
Right.
that symbol that you learn at school. So I released a few weeks ago an upgraded version of an effect that I've been performing for 10 years.
Well, I have
That's
the pie, the book, the original one.
the old one. Okay.
And I've never performed it because I needed to get the I needed to talk to you more about it. I've
Sure.
always loved that idea, and well, you know how I am. I need to fit it to my personality before I'm going to use
Yes.
it, and I needed to figure out a way that I would do it and make it my own presentation. But I
Yeah, that's
was
what you
gonna.
mentioned in the intro when you said we don't do the same magic. We have very different personalities, styles, history, hair color, anything. So it's very, very different. and but what I like about you and David Stone and a lot of guys at 4F that are in the same vein for me as a spectator anyway, is that I can appreciate what you do despite not wanting to copy what you do. Because I see some performers and I love them and I want to emulate what I see because I love their style and it's very close to me. But with you, nothing that I see you do, I can see myself copy paste instantly, which should never be the way anyway.
Sure.
But I can still appreciate the work that you do and David and others that are so different from me.
You
I still
appreciate
love
my
what you do.
sponge balls?
Well, the sponge balls, we had a discussion about this.
Yes.
But it's your personality and your interaction with the audience that I love. And you had an amazing idea with the, how do you say in English, the invisible deck or the brainwave deck
Yes.
that you performed in your lecture. I love this. It was so clever, so devious.
And actually, that's what I sent off to fool us. Well, another version. Actually, you saw one version of it. I have different routines using that idea and principle, and that idea is a version of that routine is what I sent off. That waiting to hear. Fingers fingers cross your thumb tips,
Mhm.
waiting to see what they say about it. But I think the only thing working against me is that it is still a card trick, even though the presentation is like it's not a card trick because it's imaginary. But
Do you have a policy against card tricks, or?
no, just that there's so many that they see a lot of them.
All
So
right,
I think
you want to stand out, so you would prefer another prop.
there's a
Yeah, yeah.
better shot. In fact, I was going to suggest, I don't know if you have any intention of trying for that, but there's 3 routines that you do as we were discussing what we've seen each other do that we would like to use, even though I hadn't figured out how. The 3 things that I've seen you do that I would like to use, and one of them I think would be fantastic if you submitted to Fool Us, is the wine. So pie, the haiku, and the wine tasting. Are the 3 effects that I learned from you that I would love to somehow figure out how to apply to my act, because I just feel those effects are brilliant. They're not only mind blowers, but they can be so entertaining and so captivating, and they're not card tricks.
Right. I mean, pie is a card trick in disguise, but yes. So pie is a bit
yeah. Wait,
weird for
how is
Fool
that?
Us.
How is that a card trick in disguise? That's interesting.
Well, let me illustrate that very quickly.
Okay.
So when I performed the effect at 4F, actually, you saw me performing it with Christian Englund.
Yeah.
Was kind enough to be the spectator for that. Without revealing too much of the method, basically what I'm doing is not, of course, memorizing pi. I'm sorry I can't perform it for you on camera because it's an effect. A lot of what I do is either language-based or interaction-based, and we are sort of stuck in this format here. If you had the book with you, I could actually perform it blind through the camera.
Oh well, heck, I do. Well, I do have the book. I just would need to find it.
I need you to have my book.
Yeah. Okay.
Because each book is very specific. So for people at home watching, the summary of the effect is you have a book, and as you can see on the screen, and you say that you have been working on memorizing the decimals of pi, and if you don't remember, pi is 3.1415, and so on and so on, and it goes on forever. It's infinite, which is all I'm about to say is completely real, which is insane. And so pi is infinite and also non-repetitive. Because if I tell you,
wait, I'm sorry. What was the last thing you said?
Non-repetitive.
What?
Non-repetitive. But I explain what it means because it's a technical term.
One more time. I didn't catch that word. Non. I'm just. You got me. I got you.
It took me a while. So what's happening is if I ask you to do 1 divided by 3, it would go 0.33333. So it's infinite, but it's also repetitive. So it's not very interesting. But pi is infinite and non-repetitive, which means if this is true, I mean, they are still figuring this out, you can find any sequence of digits in pi. You can find your birthday, your credit card number. You can find an infinite amount of data, basically.
You could find a Shakespearean. You could find an entire script written out. Yeah, in
part
digits.
of the original pattern that I was using for the demonstration, but I don't use it anymore, is to say that, yeah, if you convert every digit into a letter by some code of some kind, you would find Shakespeare, modifications of Shakespeare, anything you want, all the lyrics to Cardi B, I mean, anything you want to find in pi, you would find. And so this idea is interesting. And so that's why some people actually do competitions where they try to memorize as many digits as they can. And I'm not as good as the record holder. The record holder is a Japanese guy, Akira Haraguchi. And in 2006, he was able to recite 100,000 decimals of pi from memory. It took him 16 hours. You can find a portion of the video online if you want. Jeez. And so I'm not that good. I only know 17,000 decimals of pi, so a small portion of that. And so in the effect, I need to stop here because now I need a spectator. I would ask the spectator to go to any page. He would give me the page number, and I would tell him what's the beginning of that page, the digits of that page. And then he would go anywhere else. And he would give me a string of 5 digits from anywhere. I don't need to see. I can be blind. I can be on any other room. And I would pick up from there and keep reciting from his spot until the end of the book if he wants. And at the end, I ask him his birthday, and I'm able to tell him the page, the line, and the position on the line where you can find the birthday. So that's the routine that I've been doing for 10 years. And going back to what you were saying about Fool Us, I would prefer to be the first one to perform it at Fool Us, of course. But you have a small problem with pi. It's already been performed in front of pen. because a guy bought the effect from me, like a random customer on my website. I didn't know about this. And then the video popped up, E3, which is a huge video game convention in the US, actually,
Yeah.
every year, every 2 years. And at E3, there is a guy who is the director of a very big video game company whose name I forgot, Blizzard, I think. And
Oh,
he performed Pi
yeah.
on stage with Pen next to him, and he
Oh.
fooled Pen with the effect.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, so now this is a dud. I can't I can't use that in front of Pen because you will certainly recognize that from that experience.
Well, what about the? Well, I want to come back to Pi, but what about
Sure.
Have you considered submitting for the show?
So I'm extremely picky, and it's not serving me well.
Sure.
I've been in France approached by a few shows, like we have France Got Talent and the equivalent that you have, the X Factor and stuff like this. But every time they approach me, they say, "Oh, we need 2 minutes 3 times because you'll go on stage 3 times if you pass to the next level." And 2 minutes for me, as you just saw when I did the introduction to Pi, is the opening pattern.
Sure.
So I'm such a slow burn that I need these 2 minutes just to say hello, which is a big problem. So that's one reason I never went on these shows. There is some financial issues also with the way they treat people after. They consider that the exposure is so big that basically they take all your money after for like 1 year or 2 years, which is stealing you basically. And so for Fool Us, the one issue I have, and again, I'm very picky and I'm wrong, is the entire show, it's in the title, is based on the idea of fooling people.
Sure.
And I don't care about that. I fool people, but my goal is to entertain and to move. And so to go on a show whose mission is to fool two guys,
Yeah.
and they do it in a very elegant way, and the setup is beautiful, and they are very sensitive, brilliant two guys, and of course, Thompson, who was before the voice in the sky, was great. So I have nothing against the team. It's just the starting point to me feels, once again, we are talking about magic as just something that fools.
I completely agree, and that's actually what kept me for a few years from submitting as well.
Yeah.
I felt the exact same way. It wasn't until I was physically there watching, because I went as Ed Ripley's advisor when he did the Money Machine for Fool Us, and he brought me along. And when I was backstage and I saw how everything worked, and I had so much respect for the way that they protect the art of magic and uplift the art of magic that I said, okay, I want to be involved with this, but at the same time, I know I could have gone years ago and just done something really funny and great and have some great footage, and that's probably what I should have done to get the exposure.
And Boris went and had a great time. Francis Menotti went and did something great. We know a lot of our friends, John Allen, went there and had a great time.
And I could have done that, but at the same time, I want to play the game. I want to play the game, and I'm not going to feel good about it unless I do try to play the game. I want them to know that I at least tried to play the game, and the game is to try to fool them. The game is that you are taking your entertainment and presenting it as a puzzle, which is opposite of I agree, opposite of what we really are trying to accomplish. So, and that's why I've tried to structure for so long something specifically for that show, so that I could play the game.
And to be fair, because I don't want to sound very pretentious, I tend to be like that, is we saw also a few performances on that show that were purely artistic, that almost from the get-go were saying, I don't care about fooling you guys, I'm just going to show you my art. And they were beautiful performances, and they got recognized for that, and it's still exposure, and it's still a video on YouTube, and something that you can show your potential customers, clients.
Yeah.
So there is definitely a place for that. But that show and the other one we had in Vegas, what was the name? Wizard Wars, something like this.
Oh yeah, I'd love that. I wish it was still going. Wizard
Somehow
Wars.
They contacted me out of I don't know where, because I'm in France, they are in Vegas. That's completely crazy. And again, it was about showing the creation process. And I don't watch movies if I saw the making of before. I'd rather see the movie first. So again, I know it's difficult to market magic on TV, but I'd rather have a show like Le Plus Grand Cabaret du Monde, which Ruben Morland, who accompanied us in New York, did with his Matrix with the Rubik's Cube. And that's a show that's about putting artists on stage, and you shut up, you just watch the show, and then they go away, and that they did what they do best, which is entertain you. But
I,
again, maybe
I
being
didn't
picky on
realize
that
that
is
Ruben had been on Le Grand Cabaret du Monde.
yeah, he did a performance. He was with me in
Oh,
Paris when
great.
he did that, and I didn't get to see him do it, but I saw the act on TV after. It was really nice.
And Ruben was with us, with you and I when we were in New York.
Yeah, because he guided us through Tannins, if I remember
Oh
correctly.
yeah, okay, that was the same. See, well, I remembered being with Ruben in New York, and I remember being with you in New York, and I didn't remember that that was at the same. Wow, what a crazy adventure to have those three guys together. That's so
Yeah,
how
completely
wild.
different.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Just
yeah.
so you know, we are 7 minutes away from being notified again that I'm poor and I don't own the professional version of Zoom. So we'll
Well, at
need
least
to
you
do
own a
small
version of
cut and go
Zoom.
back.
I I I I own the stupid version of Zoom where I couldn't even figure out how to start it. So I had to
That's
get
fine.
my
That's
I
fine.
had to ask my guest. I'm interviewing Vincent, and I had to get Vincent to
Can you
start the
start the
Zoom
session,
call
please?
for me. I'm like, I can't figure this out. Can you just I've joined. I know how to click. I can click join. Can you just start it so I can just join? And he's like, yeah, okay, I got
So
you.
it's the
Good
French guy in the
way to
third
go.
world that's actually starting the session. Yes.
Yes, brilliant. And by the way, wanted to say, don't worry about you sounding pretentious because with your French accent, you always sound pretentious. So don't worry about that. That's not it's no big deal. So all right, well then let's come back to. We'll probably cover this and then we can change over. But I want to come
Cool.
back to I see Pi as a
Mm.
brilliant, unique version of a book test of
Mhm.
something that taking a book test to another level where like it's a book test that doesn't look like a book test, but you said specifically it's like it's like disguising a card trick, and I'm
Yes,
still trying to
we,
figure
we
out what
lost
that
that
means. Yeah.
track, and thank you for bringing me back on track. So you're right. It's a variation on the book test. It's technically a memory test because you don't divine or guess what's happening in the book, although you technically could. Um, so it's a memory demonstration. And of course, for this to work in the book, I cannot have the real decimals of pi, because if I had found a way to do this effect with the real decimals of pi, I would have the Nobel Prize, which is the Fields Medal in mathematics, for some very funny reason that we can discuss later.
Well, see, I own the effect. I bought it from you, and I still don't know all this because I still don't know how to
But
do it.
what's confusing though is there are about 40 different versions of this effect, method-wise, I mean. So the book will always look the same. The effect will always be the same. It's just you might be using a double facer while I'm using a short card, the equivalent of that if it was a card trick. So in my version, the version that I use, that's called the stack version, you know a stack. So for those who don't know at home, a stack is a memorized deck. You know the position of 52 cards in the deck in sequence, and you also know the numerical position of every card in the deck. That's the base of that. In the US, the Aronson stack is very popular, another friend from 4F. Tamaris invented the Mnemonica stack, which is arguably one of the best stack ever. I use my own stack because I created it almost 20 years ago, but that's irrelevant. So in the book, what's happening is the first page is really pi because you can encounter some crazy people who actually know 10, 20, 30, 40 digits of pi. So for these, the first page is a decoy. But after the first page, all the numbers that you see are actually cards minus the suit. So when I'm reciting pi in front of you or doing whatever I'm doing with pi, I'm just navigating my stack in my head. And
Oh,
if you know your stack, it's like your ABC. I'm not thinking. I know what's a card, what's the next one, what's the next one, what's the card, 10 cards next to that, and so on. So that's the base for the first two phases when you recite from the beginning of the page and then from anywhere on the page. For the birthday, you need to do some small calculation to get the line, the page, and the position on the line. The calculation has been simplified in this new version so much that if you graduated from kindergarten, you can do it. It's achievable. So it's very, very simple.
that's
So that's why it's a card
hope
trick
for
in
me
this
then.
version.
Hope for me then. And well, actually, we've had discussions about stacks before because, like, you found it
Mm.
crazy that I don't use one, but then I would point out that I so quickly change the order of the cards. However, I know so many false shuffles, I don't have to. I don't have to change the order. And I've thought for a while that I should be using one, and there's a lot of kind of memorization tricks I want to do. But you use your own. You're not using
Yes.
one of the versions that most people are familiar with.
It was an accident, and I don't recommend it. I'm very happy, but I have a blog article on my website. The link is on my head, and I discussed that because a lot of people like you and others, they come to me or they come to friends and they say, I want to do a stack, but which one? How do I memorize it? And so on and so on. And the answer is, first, you need to start, because you should start sooner than later. Because if you take 10 years choosing a stack, you're losing 10 years of usage. So it's a bit stupid. But people don't really, people need to choose a stack that has a lot of content in terms of effects. Because again, I'm only concerned about the experience of the spectator, not the ease of use for the magician. So if you take Mnemonica, if you take Aronson, you know you'll have dozens, hundreds of routines from Aronson, Tamaris, and others, because they've been working on this for decades. At the time where I created my stack, I wanted a very specific effect that none of these stacks that existed before me did. So I had to create my own tool, like I usually do for the book test and anything else. And so I created my own stack just for this effect. And then I applied the same work as Aronson and Tamaris on it to some extent to find usage out of my order.
Do you also know the Arison stack though?
I used to.
Used to,
because
okay.
at some point I was interested in, it's like when you study languages, you think, what would happen if I knew 2 languages or 3 or 4 or 5? As a linguist, it's an interesting question. So as a stack guy, I thought, what if I knew 2 stacks perfectly? Would I come up with a routine? Because sometimes you need to master the tools to get the ideas. So you need to suffer first and then get the reward maybe after. And so in my head, I was like, okay, I'm going to learn Mnemonica because it's a great stack. And then on top of that, I learned Aronson. So for about 2 months, I had 3 stacks stacked one on top of each other. And what's interesting is it's like a language. I speak English to you, no French is going in my head. But if I speak in French, no English is going through my head. And when I was studying Korean or Indonesian, I was in Jakarta 2 months ago. When you're on one track, you don't deviate. So when I'm in Mnemonica, when I was in Mnemonica, I didn't confuse it for mine or for Aronson's. It's a very weird compartment thing in the brain, at least for me, that you don't get lost. But the problem is there is no interesting ideas. Less than a minute. So should we switch?
Yeah, let's do that. So basically, you're going to hang up and then you're going to send me a new link. Is that what it is? All right, that was part 1 of Vincent Hedan. I am so mesmerized by everything he talks about, and later he gets into why he's a nomad now, traveling the world, why he's a minimalist. He gets into 2 other routines that I absolutely love. One is a wine tasting effect that he does, and also haiku, which I think is just a beautiful routine. So if you'd like to see the entire 90-minute interview, actually it was over 2 hours, but the first 20 minutes is me dealing with tech stuff because I didn't know how to use Zoom. But if you want to see the full 90-minute episode, it will be next Tuesday, 8 p.m. on the Not That Magic Mike Twitch channel. For those that don't know, I've been known as Magic Mike for years, but since that stupid movie came out, now I have to explain I'm Not That Magic Mike. So that's what I named my Twitch channel, #Not That Magic Mike. And I'm going to talk with Billy Shui, the president of the IBM, later on to see if we can actually broadcast. I don't know what else we have going on the schedule, but we might be able to broadcast it here if you're watching on Facebook, but definitely record that Twitch channel so you can see the entire interview. Great stuff from Vincent Hedan. And now, before we get into our next guest, it is time for the Magician's Pose contest. And I apologize that it's been a couple months since we've done it, but I'm bringing it back. The Magician's Pose contest. If you know a magician, you know what I mean. And if you don't, you'll soon learn. But the first contender of the Magician's Pose contest is actually Vincent, and that is his blue steel. I call it blue steel. Look at those steely eyes. This is from his book, Your Mind is My Playground. Absolutely love the quote. This is going to be hard to beat because mentalists have their own poses that they do because they don't necessarily use props all the time. We're used to the traditional magicians kind of pose with a prop, and that brings me to our next contender, which is my next guest, Jason Michaels, holding one playing card. I mean, look at the confidence. Look at the confidence that this is your card. I think anybody watching right now knows. They just know that whatever card you're thinking of, this is it. And you can see the confidence in the pose with the card. So this is number 2, competitor number 2, Jason Michaels, with this is your card, the this is your card pose. And now, as amazing as both of those photos are, this one's going to be hard to beat. Competitor number 3, Lucy Darling, with the shoulder, the over the shoulder Lucy Darling pose. And I know what you're thinking, like, well, that's a giveaway. It's easy. It's an easy competition. I mean, obviously she takes it, but let's go back, because look at these eyes. Okay, that's what she's competing against. Look at these. So this is competitor number 1, Vincent Hedan, with blue steel. Competitor number 2, Jason Michaels, with absolute confidence that this is your card. And competitor number 3, Lucy Darling, the over the shoulder, beautiful look. I'm going to give you guys a chance to vote in chat. Go ahead and get your vote on in chat. And meanwhile, I will go ahead and put the Pittsburgh logo up again, because I want all of you to know that we have a convention coming up in July in Pittsburgh, July 12th through 15th. So take a moment. You can vote number 1, number 2, number 3. We're going to tally all the votes. Remember, it is between number 3, Lucy Darling, number 2, Jason Michaels, number 1, Vincent Hedan. So get your votes in. Oh, time's up. We've just tallied all the votes, and the winner is Juicy Starling. The winner is the closed eye holding the microphone with Sean Farquhar in the background, Juicy Starling, which is the Lucy Darling impression. And what a handsome woman. What a handsome woman. This is from the last 4F convention. My next guest knows exactly what was going on because he was there. So that is the winner of the pose competition. Congratulations, and thank you to all of our competitors. And now I'm going to play a quick video for you as our next intro here, and then bring up our next guest, who I'm so excited to have. So let's get this video file going. It's going to be, make sure that, yep, sound is on. This is highlights from Jason Michaels on television. Enjoy.
Nashville is known for Johnny Cash, the Grand Ole Opry, and now Jason Michaels.
I don't believe I'm seeing this.
I
How
know,
did that
right?
happen?
What was the card? What was the card? Yours?
Mine was the Queen of Clubs.
Oh, interestingly enough, if I snap my fingers and we turn this over, it changes.
No,
to
he did
the
not.
Queen of Clubs.
Whoa!
That's right.
You see, I want to know how you did that, because I'm holding this card, and it was the Queen of Spades, pal.
That's why Magic is so much fun. Slide
It
hand
is so much
especially.
fun.
That I can get your card, Carol. Wait a minute. What was your card the first time? Did you pick the?
Two
Did
of
you-
Hearts was
did-
my first one.
You picked the same card twice? 2 of Hearts?
I did not.
You didn't pick you didn't? What,
No.
Was your card a 2?
No.
Was it a red card?
It is.
Okay, watch. If I go like this and I just snap my fingers, turn it over. Let's see if it changes
Oh, no
into.
The ace.
Is that the
Ace of
one?
Hearts,
Oh,
yes.
that's your favorite. I like that.
Okay, Jason, let's find out if Penn and Teller know how to spell "you fooled us."
Hey, Jason, Allen Ginsberg, the great beat poet, said the poet stands naked on stage. And I think that goes for all art. And to take everything that's true about us and all the things that we worried about and overcame, and then turn that into something beautiful and artistic, and in your case, incredibly funny, is really great. The way you set up the jokes and just knock them right down. It's just wonderful how it's set up. You let us get ahead of you a little bit, and then surprise us, and then turn it. And all the comedy was just wonderful. And it's so funny, and it feels so much like you, and so honest.
Jason Michaels has performed everywhere from the desert to the Arctic Circle. You just saw Penn and Teller's reaction to his performance. I got to see 2 performances from him just last weekend at the 4F convention, and he's also the head promoter of the IBM convention we have in Pittsburgh. So please welcome to Something Up My Sleeve, Jason Michaels.
Hey, how you doing?
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here. And sorry that I barely seemed to have like a moment to even say hello because it was so crazy over those 4 days. But I thoroughly enjoyed both of your presentations while we were there in New York. I wanted you to know that. And all right, first question right off the bat.
That's very nice of you. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
absolutely. And we'll get into. I love your Fool Us performance. We'll get into that later. I didn't want to love it, but I absolutely love it.
Oh, really? Okay.
and-
I want to hear the story behind that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I don't want to, because I don't want to love anybody else's act,
Oh.
but so I wasn't prepared to love it. But what is something up your sleeve? What makes you you?
Oh, gosh, I tell you what, just right now, I've had an interesting career trying a lot of different types of magic in a lot of different settings. And right now, I'm just really kind of focused on two things, and that is doing a weekend show. It's just a ticketed public show in Nashville, Tennessee, right on the outskirts of the downtown area. I do that on the weekends. And then I go out usually throughout the week, like Monday through Thursday type of thing, when the bookings happen, and I go out and I speak to groups, and I use a little bit of magic in my speeches, but I use my story as well about growing up with being a kid who had Tourette syndrome, and like I said, I use my story about wanting to become a magician, and sort of some of the adventures on the way, and I teach people about the skills of resiliency. So those are the two things that spend most of my time focused on. In this business, people say, well, what are you up to? And for the most part, it's either, if you're not on stage somewhere, you're trying to get on stage. So, I mean, it's just like, you're either emailing somebody or on the phone trying to just get booked. So, I mean, that's the name of the game at this point for me.
Real quick, Jason, have you seen my appearing cat trick? Because we got to get that out of the way. I'm so sorry. He gets really jealous, and you've gotten so much attention that he's okay.
That's what cats do. That's why they're fun.
That's how you know that I'm not on stage, that I'm on a digital call.
Yeah, you're like, this is real. Yeah, this is happening right now. Everybody,
this is
otherwise
live.
it would be edited.
So and speaking of now, I'm too slow to type. So if anybody can type it in the chat, that'd be great. But how do we find you? Let's say we're visiting Nashville. How do we find your show?
So my show is called Mysteries and Illusions, and I have two websites, which is my own personal website, which is, where people can go to find out about, different things, whether it's a speech or whatnot, maybe the show tickets. But I actually have a show website specifically for the show, and that is the name of the show, mysteriesandillusions.com. And so, yeah, it's got video clips and reviews, and it kind of just it's got all the different ticket links with the different dates that are currently open for that are available for ticket sales and stuff.
And I'm gonna try to come see you in September. Have you heard of the Pilgrimage Music Festival?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I've been there like 5-6 times now. And it's right outside of Nashville. It's in Franklin, Tennessee.
Yeah.
But what I plan to do is come in either early or stay late, so I can catch your show while I'm there. I would love to.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah.
We'll have to hang out if you're not totally busy with the festival. That Franklin is just far enough south of Nashville that like it's its own thing, but we still think of Franklin as part of Nashville.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they felt the same way, but
they don't.
No, they don't. Okay. Yeah, because every time I seem to spend way more time there, and I actually haven't seen that much of I don't know Nashville well, but I've been to Franklin 6 times.
Franklin is a really great, wonderful community, very family oriented, and just it's great. They do a lot of cool stuff there.
Awesome. All right. Well, looking forward to that. So fresh off the 4F commission, that was your second time there?
Yeah, second time. Mm-hmm.
So your first time there, were you nervous?
Yeah, of course. It's just crazy. You're sitting there, and then there's all these people that you have all their books on your bookshelf,
right,
sitting in front of you, and you're like, well, this is weird. And the crazy thing is, all the like the guests of honor are up front, and the people who've been honored over the years, and all these different folks. And so like when you need to pick somebody, you go the path of least resistance to get help. And so that means like you go, oh, I'll just get hey, Gene Anderson. Oh, I'll just get, hey, Boris Wilde. It's like, golly, can I just get somebody I don't know who they are to help me? That means I have to go like deep into
Yeah.
the pit, and even those people are probably, they've been there for 20 years or something like that. They're highly accomplished.
And so but you did, and I'll say you did not look nervous your second time. I watched both for your performance and what was called the Ed Talk.
Yeah.
But were you still nervous? Because it didn't
I
show.
wasn't as nervous the second time. Number one, I was doing a piece of mine that I created, and it's something I've done a lot. It's something that I knew that nobody would be familiar with, so that I knew that there was the surprise factor. They didn't know where this was going, and so that as far as the performance goes, the actual trick that I did, I was excited to show it because I was like, this is cool. This is something that I've come up with, and it'll be interesting to see what people say about it. As far as the Ed Talk goes, I spent a lot of time working on the content because I just wanted to make sure that I present. I thought to myself, when I was asked to do it, and the topic was presenting close-up magic in a stage setting, and when I was asked to do it, I thought to myself, God, there's probably other people who have. Oh, that's.
I'm so sorry.
I thought to myself, there are probably people who have other people who have done this, who might be better actually suited to talk about this. But the more I thought about it, is I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, I've been in some way, shape, or form involved with projecting close-up magic on the stage since 1999 when I was working for Brett Daniels. And so the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I had some good stuff to share. And I think that it was pretty well received as far as some of the people that I talked to afterwards. They seemed really interested.
Absolutely. Before I want to come back to that, because that was a subject that I think people need to hear about, and I wanted to focus on. And you've got props from our past president of the IBM, Ken Scott, is in chat and says you are an absolute master of your craft. I thought that
might be a little bit of hyperbole right there.
And yep, your talk was great. Lots of good tips. So before we get back into the talk, your performance, I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
That, because I've never seen this before, that you threw your own book into the book test as an option of so here's 3 books that you can choose from. And by the way, here's one I wrote.
Right.
Great promotion. I'm guessing most people aren't going to choose that one, figuring, well, if he couldn't actually memorize an entire book, then he probably knows his own, which is probably not the case. You probably could I could probably quote you your own words, and you'd be like, "Where'd you get that from?" Because that's happened. That's happened to me.
Right.
But they would think, "Oh, he can memorize his own book." But that was a great idea to throw that into the mix. And real quick, the name of your book?
Oh, it's called "You Can Do the Impossible Too," as in you also can do the impossible.
And it's mainly about your dream of being a magician.
Yeah, it tells the story about growing up as a kid, a child who had Tourette syndrome. I was diagnosed when I was 13. I started seeing the tics come out when I was about 7. That's when they really started coming out, and so it was really a story of how that I dealt with and have lived with the tics. And then at 16, I fell in love with magic, and so it was how magic has influenced my life and made it so rich and helped me. Interestingly enough, the sort of one of the big things that, when I do my talks and in my book, I talk about when I'm on stage performing, none of my tics come out. Like right now, for me, this is a performance. We're having a conversation, but this is still a performance, and there's pressure because I know people are watching and they're going to watch later on. So I will still have tics every single day. I will finish this interview and I'll still have all those tics that come with Tourette syndrome. But when I'm in quote unquote performance mode, they don't come out for the most part. And so the book is about sort of how I navigated wanting to become a professional entertainer and how, you kind of have to do that because there's the challenge of becoming a professional entertainer. And then there's also the challenge of living with Tourette syndrome. And so the book was designed to be a book that hopefully when people read it, that made them feel good after they put it down. It's designed to be inspirational.
For those that maybe can't relate to what you mean by tics and what type of distraction that can be in your life, I would like to give a visual for them. It'd be kind of like if you're trying to conduct an interview and there's a cat dancing above your head.
Yeah, very
Uh,
similar. Very similar. Yeah.
That's about the
You
feeling.
don't know what's going to happen until it happens.
And you don't know how to, how distracting it is to everyone else, what you should do about it. You're wondering the whole time, are they noticing this? What's going to happen next?
Exactly right.
So for those that maybe can't relate, just put a cat on your head and walk out in public, and that gives you an idea. So on the subject, and it's interesting that you bring that up, that while you're performing, it's almost like it's almost like some type of instant cure because of a hyper focus mode. And I felt the same thing about because I don't know if you noticed, not to brag, but I have ADHD. But what's amazing is the hyper focus that I get when I'm in performance mode.
Yep.
Especially like if something goes wrong on stage, and the fact that you keep the performance going with the million different thoughts going through your head all at once. Like how does that happen? How does that take place? But yet I can't remember to put the garbage out. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's amazing. And so I can relate to that. And one other example is I teach improv comedy at a local high school, and once one dad came up to me. And he said to me about his daughter, he said, "How did you get her to overcome her stutter?" And I said, "What stutter?"
What stutter? Yeah.
Not once in our class did I ever notice it, because when she was in that mode, whatever frame of mind your brain is in when you're doing improv comedy with your partners, with other people, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Like, he had to inform me of that. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that performance can be somewhat of a cure for some of our afflictions that we deal with.
Yeah, it is. It is. And the more people that I talk to that have Tourette's or other things that are in the same vein, it seems like a lot of similar stories and exactly what you're talking about. So it's like it's very fascinating how that works.
Now, later, what I want to do is we want to end this segment by showing everybody your Foolish performance, which I thought was fantastic because it's personable. It applies to you. It's a card trick that doesn't even look like a card trick. I thought it was so funny and inspiring. But one question I have, and it has to do, and it's so beautifully has to do with Tourette's, and it kind of focuses on what the common knowledge is, but I'm one of those people that was very ignorant about how general a scope that can be. So other than what we all know of, like the fact that people can just blurt out curse words, what are some of the other things that the general public may not realize about Tourette's and the tics and what it causes?
Sure. Yeah. So a tic is basically an uncontrollable, rapid, repetitive, and it's either a movement or a vocalization. So uncontrollable basically means that for the most part, we don't even know they're going to happen until they happen. So it's not really a control thing. It's not like I can stop it from happening. I don't even know it's going to happen. It's rapid, so it happens quickly. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. And it's repetitive, so usually it happens over and over and over again. And that's one of the reasons why there have been a lot of people who've made fun of it, whether it's the media or whatnot, just because it's so out of the ordinary. It's so out of context of just normal life. You might be walking down the grocery store and then somebody just has these tics. And the tic might be something as small as a twitch, like a little arm movement or this type of thing, or it might be large. I've seen like huge tics. Some people have vocal tics, and those vocal tics may not be cursing, although they can be. They might be just noises that they make with their tongue, or breathing, certain like a clicking noise or something like that. And to be honest with you, it can be not only can it be a surprise, it can be annoying to somebody who doesn't know what they're seeing. But there's a lot of different styles of tics, and the more that I have met people with Tourette syndrome, the more that I've realized. I have even recognized tics of my own that I didn't know were tics. For a really long time, I just thought, I just do this thing. There's tics like where I could read a sentence and I get to the end of the line and I literally can't get to the next sentence because I'm stuck at the end of the line, and I just read that end of the line over and over again. There are tics where you breathe, where you literally hold your breath until you gasp for air. There's all sorts of but it's a neurological disorder. It's up in the brain, and there's just something that's not quite firing or hitting on all cylinders there, and that's how the tics occur. Lots of different ways. But the best part, that the most important part that I have to share is that it isn't something that has anything to do with trying harder to not have tics. It's simply something nobody knows they're going to do in the first place. And so it makes people a little uncomfortable. And that's usually when the comments happen about, saying things that are designed, the person making the comment is just trying to make themselves comfortable again. But in so doing, they're alienating the person who's having the tics.
Right. Why do you think that it being in performance mode helps to overcome that?
My guesstimate is the fact that I know. So if I'm in the grocery store and nobody is really around, I don't know that whether or not somebody's watching me. I mean, somebody might be across the room and then can see me having tics, but I don't know it. But if I'm on stage and there's 100 people in front of me, I know everybody's watching me. And I think, and there's like an embarrassment factor there where it's like, do not have a tic, they might make fun of you. Do not have a tic. So totally lock in on what you're doing. Like you're totally focused on what you're saying, the things that you're, doing, whether, what you're performing or whatnot. So I think there is a little bit of that sort of, do not allow yourself to be alienated, because I will tell you with that, I tell you that it's uncontrollable. And then it sounds like I contradict myself and say that because I'm trying to like hold it back. Well, what happens when you're super hyper focused, at least with Tourette's, is that when I go somewhere where I can let down and just completely relax, I have tics that are like 3 times worse because they've been suppressed for an hour. And now they're going to come out in massive force, and they're all going to come out all at the same time. So it's kind of like you're going to pay one way or another. So, but that's just how it works for me. But I've talked to a lot of people, and I've heard similar stories.
Have you ever recognized this in other people that maybe didn't even realize themselves what was going on, or that what they had, but you recognized it?
I can see tics from a mile away. Yeah.
Especially in the woods. So I definitely want to get into your what we were calling the Ed talk.
Okay,
and you were asked by Christian and Catalina, who were the MCs for that night, who I want to get on this program, by the way. Some of my favorite
they're fantastic.
Well.
They're wonderful.
Just wonderful. And you were asked to talk about how to project close-up magic and basically the tech side of how you do that. And you've done this in many locations. Just to give you a background as to why I found your talk so interesting, you may be wondering why I look like a sportscaster. I have another microphone sitting right there that I can try, and I won't look like this came from the gaming world, because my first Twitch experience in broadcasting was from gaming, and it works. And because it works, and I'm so afraid of technology, once something works, I'm reluctant to change. And so I don't necessarily want to grab the other microphone and test it and see, just so I can look more like a magician and less like a sportscaster. So that's where I'm coming from when I hear a talk like yours. All of what you were talking about scares me, but yet you were presenting it in a way of letting people know, like, you can do this.
Yeah.
And that was your talk about projecting close-up magic.
Yeah. So it's a couple of things. So so there's the technical side of projecting close-up magic, where we're talking about things like cameras and how you get the signal from the camera to the projector or to the screen or whatever. And then there's the stagecraft side of things, where you talk about, where I was talking about, and this is the thing that I think most people don't really think about, is so that if you're a close-up magician and you want to project close-up magic onto a screen for 500 people to see in a theater, if you're doing one trick and you're going to sit behind a table and you're going to do that trick, great. I got no issues. But if you say, I'm going to do an hour-long show of close-up magic for 100 or 150 or 500 people or whatever, and it's going to be in a theater and we're going to have a projector, that is all very feasible to do as well. But the big difference is you have to understand that if you're going to perform for more than 5 minutes, you cannot sit behind a table for an entire hour and think that that's compelling theater, because it's not. The simple fact of the matter is you have to use the camera and the projector and the projector screen as little as possible. When you need to use it, you have to use it. But if you're telling a story or you're talking to your audience, you have to get out from behind that table. You have to use the stage, just like a stage actor or a stage magician would use the stage. You have to be able to, use your body and use your gestures so that they feel like they're actually seeing a stage performance. And then when it's time to go, if you need the image to be projected and you have to sit at the table, that's fine. That's no problem at all. You can go back and forth over and over and over again. But the key really, as far as the stagecraft goes, is think about it in terms of being a stage magician who's performing close-up magic. Now, as far as the technical stuff goes, yeah, I mean, you have your camera and then you have your way of getting the signal to, it's either a projector or it might be like a video wall, because theaters nowadays have video walls. And what you do, there's a couple of ways to do that. You can do that. And it depends on if you're in a residency where you're going to be somewhere for a long time, or if you're touring. And there's very big differences. I personally currently use an HDMI transmitter, and all that means is that it uses an HDMI cable to plug into the camera, and there's a transmitter that sends a signal from the camera wirelessly to a receiver, which is plugged into either a projector, which is projecting it onto a screen, or a video wall, which is putting the image up onto a giant wall. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it, but I think some of the things that people don't think about are some of those staging things. And so I think that's kind of like the secret that most people don't know about. They just don't, because like I said, if you sit behind a table for 60 minutes, no matter how compelling your stories are or how funny you are, it will not be as dynamic as if you're getting up and moving around, using the stage, using the entire space. So
I think because of our love of magic, sometimes we take for granted the interest that it has on other people, and it is amazing. Like you're saying, I've talked recently about some incredible performers that the one negative comment, people that absolutely loved it, just felt like it was just too long, too much, that they couldn't really take it for that long of just this one environment of this one guy behind a table, like exactly what you're saying.
Right.
And one of my recent guests, I believe last episode, was Eric Jones, who talked about how he strategically uses the video, because we all know him as a close-up magician. He does some stand-up, but he's basically doing close-up in front of 1,800 people.
Yep.
But he's very strategic about how he's using the camera and how he's using the projection. Now, you were telling the story about how you got to a place and they didn't even have a screen and you had to hang a sheet up.
Yeah. So we went to a club, and you always send you send your requirements and say, hey, this is what I need, but that doesn't always mean they're going to have it. I mean, sometimes they get it and they just don't read it. And so I went somewhere and they didn't have a projector screen. They had a projector, didn't have a projector screen. And I said, that's fine. Do you have a sheet? And they said, yeah, we have a sheet. I said, okay. So I took the sheet and I took a couple of tacks. I just attached them to the wall and we used a sheet. And I will also say this, there's a difference. There are different, like if you're doing close-up magic, like if you're doing a cards across routine, the cards are mere objects. You don't have to project that because you're simply counting an object. Everybody can see that. The only time you really need to project is when you need the object to be identified. Like you need to be able to see that the 8 turns into an ace, or when they say, what's your card? They say a king, you turn it over and it's easy for 500 people to see it. So I think that's also important to know.
Excellent. This is definitely something I think everybody told you that like 10 minutes is not enough. You could easily do an hour longer talk about that sort of thing. And to be able to set people like me at ease to properly train and go, you can do this, you can arrive at an event, and yes, you can set this up. What is an example besides the sheet situation where you've had to adapt based on arriving and realizing you had tech problems?
I had I'm trying to think of a show. Hold on, I'm gonna look at my so I do a lot of work with I travel some and do things with the military, and sometimes I find myself in all sorts of different types of settings. I will say this is the type of, I'm going to give you a little tip that I think probably if you're a performing magician, you already know this. If you've ever done a trick ever, you probably know this. But I was traveling. I was somewhere in the Middle East, and my team and I were getting on an airplane, and I had a 50-foot HDMI cable, and because that's the low tech way of doing this. Yeah, camera, HDMI cable plugs into a projector. It's so easy. But I was getting on the plane, and the guy opens my bag. He picks up the HDMI cable. He throws it in the trash, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, and he's in his best English, which wasn't that good. He said, "Yeah, you can't have a garrote." And I was like, "Garrote?" And then I realized he thinks that I could use this HDMI cable to like strangle somebody with it on an airplane. And I mean, I would never consider that in a million years, but I'm just a close-up magician. But so my point there is simply that I did have backup material, like for instance, the ability to do cards across. I don't have to project an image of a playing card. I can just, put something else in that has nothing to do with using the actual projector. So always, the rule of thumb is always to be able to have that backup plan. So
excellent. So I'm realizing that I wasn't watching the time. We're gonna have to.
We're having so much fun.
I know. So we'll keep it going. We should have a couple more guys joining us to talk about our experience at 4F and just kind of kick back and reminisce. So that will happen in what I call the after hours party, where we don't have to necessarily, not that we have to not be family friendly, but we don't have to necessarily stay family friendly. That will continue on the Twitch channel, and you're welcome to join us for that. Not that Magic Mike on Twitch. But before we get into what we're going to do is end this broadcast by showing everybody your foolish routine. I've got that ready and pulled up. But before we get into that, what do we have to look forward to in Pittsburgh at the IBM convention?
Oh, let me tell you something. It is I've been to a lot of conventions. I don't get super excited by a lot of conventions anymore. I'm very excited about this one. We have some incredible talent, people that like Joshua J. and Andy Gladwin, people that maybe you don't know. And I mean, like, for instance, so we have Taylor Hughes coming, and Taylor Hughes is a guy that I hired when I was entertainment director at House of Cards, and he came out from LA, and he was fantastic, just very personable and fun, and he has his own show on. You can go by and watch him perform an hour-long show on Amazon Prime, and he's going to be there. I mean, he's great. We have Morton Christensen, FISM winner, Randy Shine, who is like killing it in the college market. He's out there just on fire. I'm a big fan of theatrical magic. I always enjoy watching David Parr work. David's going to be there. Lee Turbosic is another guy. I've known about Lee for a long time because, as a professional magician, you just kind of you're always looking to see what other people are doing. You're looking to see who's in the press. And so I've known about him for a long time, but I don't know if everybody knows about who Lee is. Lucy Darling's going to be there, which, I thought she was going to win the competition, by the way, but
so she was my vote for MVP.
Yeah.
for the MVP. Yeah, I thought. I mean, she just absolutely rocked it, and so I voted for her for MVP.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? The MVP award?
Yeah, well, that and then just your competition here just a few minutes ago between me and
the pose contest. I thought you were talking about at 4F. The pose she almost won it. She almost won it, but then Juicy Starling was there. So
there was Juicy. Kayla Drescher is also
beautiful.
I have never seen Kayla work, but I've heard about Kayla I know Kayla, I've met her, but I've heard about her performance. Keith Fields and Lady Sarah. Look.
Yeah,
there's a time Howard Mincone. What happens at every magic convention? The juggler steals the show. So I mean, look, this is going to be a great convention. There's a ton of talent. There are a lot of people who are going to be there. It's a real winner. It's in Pittsburgh, so it's easy to get to for a lot of people. I mean, I guarantee there's so many people that could drive there. Within an 8-hour drive, it'd be easy to get there. And if you're not there, I think you're going to be missing something that's just going to be a ton of fun. And I'll be there, and I'm looking forward to hanging out. You'll be there. You're performing.
Yes. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm so stoked.
It's going to be a blast.
Especially with that lineup. And I have seen Kayla recently at the Chicago Magic Lounge, and she just owned that crowd. Just
Yeah.
absolutely, she did the bar magic and just owned that crowd.
Yeah.
I have no doubt she could come to New Orleans and just take over at any bar here, and just like it wouldn't matter how wasted the people are, she would just take it.
Yeah, and let me tell you something too. I went to that hotel earlier this year because we had our meeting there, just to kind of see what it was going to be like. There is an awesome area just to hang out in session that is right outside of the dealer's room and right outside of the main hall. I'm talking about there's going to be tables there where people can just hang out late night session and just jam with each other. The whole goal here with this convention is for it to feel like a family reunion. We really want people to hang out. We really want people to, if there's somebody that you don't know that you want to get to know, we want to help facilitate that. Keith Fields and Lady Sarah are performing, but they're also in charge of the first timers meeting, which means if you've never been to an IBM convention, we're going to have a special meeting where we're going to get people engaged. It is good. Everybody's going to be your friend. It's going to be a blast, and we can't wait to have you there.
Beautiful. Awesome. All right. Well, everybody say a huge thank you for Jason Michaels. If I can keep you around, I'm gonna hang out. We're going to show your video, grab a drink, and we'll keep it for the after hours party. We're going to end the Facebook broadcast, but then we'll continue on Twitch and my other platforms. But for now, here is Jason Michaels doing a very unique routine on Fool Us.
Welcome back. One magician has already bested our boys. Can we make it two? Here comes our next magician.
Both of my grandfathers were in the military. It just made sense to me to go into the military myself. But at age 13, a pediatric neurologist diagnosed me with Tourette syndrome. I've had tics more or less my entire life. Sometimes they wax, sometimes they wane, but they're always there. And the crazy thing, when I'm on stage, they're gone, like a magic trick. I couldn't be in the military, but I still wanted to contribute to the troops. So I've done military shows all over the world. In one of my military tours, I decided that I was going to share that I have Tourette syndrome. All of a sudden, people were coming up to me after shows, and they wanted to talk to me, not just because of the magic. They wanted to talk to me because I got real, and they connected with that. That was life-changing for me. I've been embarrassed by the tics into my 30s. I wasn't embarrassed anymore. I just realized it was part of who I am. The moment that I'm just a person who knows some cool things, the wall drops and we're all human together.
Nashville is known for Johnny Cash, the Grand Ole Opry, and now Jason Michaels.
4-letter words. Words that offend. Words that get you into trouble. Fighting words. And to people like me who grew up with Tourette syndrome, words that embarrass. These are alphabet cards. A bunch of cards with letters printed on them. Kids use these to practice spelling. I use them for magic. Watch closely as I attempt to both shuffle and cut the cards out of this deck that will spell the word fool, which is what I hope to do to Penn and Teller here tonight. Remember, the word is fool. I got the L. Oh, hell. I am so sorry. I was afraid something like this might happen. I tell you what, let's put these cards on a timeout. I've lived most of my life with Tourette syndrome, which is a syndrome that manifests itself through both the physical and verbal cues. And it is quite difficult, but over time I was able to get the tics under control. But the symptoms, they didn't vanish. They just transferred themselves to my cards. And now my cards, well, they can't stop cussing. Sometimes it's magical, and sometimes it's a giant pain in the... Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Sometimes the cards work against me, but sometimes they work with me. Now that it appears they're cooperating, let me see if I can cut the cards out of the deck that spell the word fool. Awesome. All right, this next one should be an O. F-U. Oh gosh. Oh, you know what it is? Okay, I know what it is. They are Here's what they're doing. They're abbreviating the phrase "fool us." Obviously, nope, that's not what they're doing. I tell you what, let's teach these cards a lesson. I will give the cards a shuffle, and in so doing, I will put them in a random order. See what I mean? A random. Jason? Wow, this is not so random. Jason is A. Why do I have a bad feeling about this? Oh, Jason is well, okay. All right, that's not as bad as I thought it was. Oh, okay, Jason is a bitch. All right, well. All right. Let's go back to the beginning. At age 13, I was diagnosed with Tourette's, and life was difficult. But at age 16, I fell in love with magic. And when I performed magic, the tics disappeared. And people would applaud me for doing something well instead of laughing at me over something I couldn't control. You might say that magic gave me a second chance, and that is why I am going to give the cards a second chance. One shuffle, literally as simple as it gets. And by giving the cards that one shuffle, I have helped them overcome their Tourette's. So now they should be in perfect order from the ABC all the way to the X, Y, Z. And if I cast a shadow over the cards that spelled out H-E-L-L a moment ago, they now spell out the word fool. Damn. You, I'm Jason Michaels. I mean, thank you, I'm Jason Michaels.
Jason Michaels! I'm just so excited to see how they're going to bleep cards.
Well, that's a good question. I don't know how they're going to do that.
You're very comfortable being honest with your audience.
I was massively embarrassed by Tourette's up until I was in my 30s. The uncontrollable tics and twitches, I was paralyzed by people saying things to me that were unkind. And what happened was when I started talking about it, all of a sudden it normalized. And I realized it wasn't something to be embarrassed by. It was something that was just part of who I am.
Yeah. And you probably were educating, people who didn't know about it.
I believe that the awareness is quite good now. The education is good, but I think that we can still do better because I still hear from people who have really tough stories about living with something like this.
Right. Okay, Jason, let's find out if Penn and Teller know how to spell "you fooled us."
Hey, Jason, Allen Ginsberg, the great beat poet, said the poet stands naked on stage. And I think that goes for all art. And to take everything that's true about us and all the things that we worried about and overcame, and then turn that into something beautiful and artistic, and in your case, incredibly funny, is really great. The way you set up the jokes and just knock them right down. It's just wonderful how it's set up. You let us get ahead of you a little bit and then surprise us and then turn it. And all the comedy was just wonderful. And it's so funny. And it feels so much like you and so honest. But I got to tell you, Jason, it's a tough show. It's a tough show because between us, we have over a century of experience in magic. And we learned a lot more since doing this show. So the deck is stacked against you, Jason. I just want you to know that. So even though you did a great job and your moves are wonderful, and we loved the routine, we loved how much your heart you gave, we don't think you fooled us.
Did they code the solution to your trick?
They're some of the most clever magicians in the world. They got it.
Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Jason
Thanks a lot, Jason.
Michaels.
Thank you.
If you need a break, we've got one for you. If you want more magic, you'll get that too. Don't go anywhere.
All right, bringing you back. Taking that one off. We're gonna go here. That was so cool from the get-go when she walks up and says how are they gonna bleep cards, and then he so beautifully talked about the naked poet, and like, wow, they have got some serious improv skills, all of them. Allison doesn't get enough credit to begin with. with what she has to do, because we don't see half of it. The television audience doesn't see that for sometimes 10 minutes she's improvising with the performer with all of her questions and everything going
Oh
on.
yeah. Yeah, they're so good at this now. I mean, I'm sure they've always been good at it, but it's their money when it comes to just being able to, make it, find a way to reference the performance and keep it. They're fantastic. And I was when he made that reference to Allen Ginsberg, the Beat Poet, I was like, oh wow, like. He really, I was like, obviously they both, but Penn is the one who's talking. So I'm like, wow, he got it. Like he understood where the sort of the spirit of this is coming from. And I think that they could feel the intention of what the sort of the routine was. I'll be honest with you, the routine was a little out of my comfort zone. That's not the type of thing I would normally do. For years I still am kind of a squeaky clean performer as far as like on stage. And so the idea that, and I mean, to a certain extent, when I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, may not be doing any church shows anytime soon after I get this thing, gets put up, online. But the opportunity to advocate for people that, I hate to say it because it's a terrible thing, but the simple fact of the matter, there are still people who are who have terrible stories about teachers that are, that are terrible to them, and just bad things that happen because society is not always kind. And so if I can go out and just to try to create just a little bit more awareness for a disorder and a disability, and it is a disability. I actually looked this up the other day because I've never felt disabled, but I was like, I wonder if Tourette syndrome actually falls under disability, and it does. And I thought to myself, this is even though it's a little out of my comfort zone, it's too rich of an opportunity to help spread this word. Maybe this will give somebody a smile that might be having a bad day. Maybe it'll make it a little bit easier for somebody, I'm hoping, to live with this, that there's something that they might look at as an unfortunate thing, or maybe it'll just help educate folks a little bit more about it. So
I completely believe that it is a disability, and I understand, because I have tried to explain to people for the longest time that ADD is a disability, and that people should be patient. Just because it's not a physical disability doesn't mean you shouldn't be patient. Like when someone's like, hey, I said, where are the car keys? Hey. It's like, you want to calm down for a second, because you're one of many thoughts going through my head right now. And if you're standing behind somebody at a stoplight and they're in a wheelchair, you're not like, hey, move, come on, hurry up, turbo. Like, no, you wouldn't do that. That would be considered rude. But the fact that you're like forcing me to like focus on your thought and like questioning my intelligence because I can't, like, that's a disability. But yet it just, because it's not a physical one, it doesn't get any respect,
right.
And
it's like I heard a friend call it the invisible disability because you can't see it.
Right.
It's not like when you can see a physical disability. So
yeah, because you know to be polite to when you can see it. But it takes some patience to realize, and actually my wife has it down because she now knows to count to 8 seconds, which she started doing, and I realized she was doing it because she was counting on her fingers like this. So she would ask a question, she's like, so what do you have tomorrow night? 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and for some reason at 8, that's the amount of time I needed to process whatever was going through my head, and then circle back to her question and go, oh, tomorrow night? What do we have tomorrow night? And so, then she doesn't have to do it out loud. But I've noticed when other people are around, she starts counting out loud so they can catch wind of what's happening.
Okay. Okay.
I'm like, okay, I know you can do it silently. You don't have to do it out loud. But eight apparently is the secret. 8 is the number.
That's the secret number. Yeah.
I was going to say though, even though it's not necessarily a clean quote unquote routine, it is, I think, marketable as opposed to some routines that are developed specifically for them that focus all around Penn and Teller, which they love, of course. It promotes the show, but it's something that you then can't take and just perform it in front of your regular crowds. Whereas I believe you could take that deck of cards and do that routine in other
I
places.
agree. I agree. I agree. It's interesting because I'm really good friends with Stephen Bargatze. He's one of my closest friends, and
I invited him tonight, by the way. I don't
What's
know if
that?
you got them. I invited him to join us. So
Oh, yeah.
I sent about 10 invites out. I did it as a private. You already knew about it, but I did it as a blind carbon copy, so nobody knew who else was invited.
Sure.
Sean Farquhar is invited. Stephen Bargatze is invited. Boris Wilde is invited, but I know he's probably asleep right now. He's all the way in France. I invited 4 effers that have either been on Something Up My Sleeve or will be on Something Up My Sleeve. And unfortunately, though, I did kind of wait till the last minute to realize that that's what we should do. And so I didn't get the invites out like in time. The person that I expected to join us, which he has the link, I think they should be able to pop in anytime, is Scott Wells, who has a perfect record of everything that happened at 4F. So
sure.
I don't know that Bargatze got the message, but he is definitely invited as someone who was at the last 4F, and I'd love to hear his take. But what were you saying about him?
No, it's interesting because I perform. He and I sometimes perform together on the same shows or whatever, and he's a clean performer. I mean, he doesn't curse or he's not blue at all, even though he knows how to like walk that fine line where he's able to kind of be insulting to the audience, but like in the most lovable, everybody loves it. Like he's one of the rare people who can walk that fine line and everybody loves everything he does.
He can stand up and go, "I hate kids."
Yeah. But it's one of those things where it's funny because I'm like, well, all right, Steven, now I've got this trick and it's all about cuss words. So can we still be on the same show, or like, how does this work now? Because I mean, it's funny because when you I've started fiddling around with stand-up comedy. I actually have taken a couple of stand-up comedy classes and comedy writing classes and stuff like that. And when you're talking about Tourette syndrome, which is like one of the things that I want to talk about because I feel passionate about being an advocate for people like that are dealing with it. I mean, how do you not talk about the cussing? I mean, it's the thing everybody knows about.
It's the only thing most people know about.
Yeah, and so to a certain extent, it's like you have to address the gorilla in the room. You can't ignore that. But at the same time, I'm not trying to do blue material here. But like I said earlier, it's
so audience appropriate because that Penn and Teller had a show called Bullshit.
Yeah, right.
And they are not clean. They do use blue material. They love blue material. That everything about that routine I think was just so perfect for that show. And went over so well. And like he said, just does a good job of embracing who you are. But I do get it because I also perform clean. So I do get how if I did the same thing, I would have been a little uncomfortable as well. Like, I guess I'm doing this.
Well, when they said yes, I was like, all right, I'm doing this because, when you're, when you come from, and we didn't talk about this, but you know this, but I mean, as far as this type of thing, when you come from the acting world, you basically say yes to everything. That's what you're taught. You say yes to everything. And so when they said, we like this and we want it, I was like, yep, no problem. I'll do it. So, but I'll be honest with you. I'm really proud of the routine. I'm proud of it. And I think that it, was really heartwarming was how many comments that I have received, like comments on YouTube where people I literally have only received like maybe 2 negative comments among hundreds of comments of people saying things that are positive or uplifting or how they appreciated the message. And that to me was like, okay, well, that was the reason to do that.
Yeah, probably the negative comments are people that are just being haters because they just look for stuff, it's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's got their opinion. And so, whatever. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick question, and then I got to do a couple shout outs. Did you ever work with doves?
No, I've never worked with doves.
Okay, so I'm racking my brain to when I first. So I remember when I emailed you, and I said cantaloupe. There's a story behind that, and then I
Right.
realized after I sent the email, I was like, and I looked at your stuff, I was like, wait, that can't be the same guy. That's not him. And so now I got to figure out, and it's somebody that definitely has like 2 first names.
Okay.
And it was at Winter Carnival. So basically, I was the MC, and I said to all the performers, I was like, look, the safe word is cantaloupe. So if you get in a bind, you need me to stretch, you yell cantaloupe. And I feel bad because I know him. He's a great performer, but I'm racking my brain and I cannot remember. And so like he would hate me for not remembering who it is. And I could have sworn it might be Jason something. I could have sworn that was his name. He kind of has this, not that he was being cocky. I mean, he was in a tuxedo, doing a dove act. So, I mean, you're going to come across as a little cocky, but he was just kind of like, I don't need a safe word. He was the opening act. He's like, I don't need a safe word. And then the minute I started, he realized he was like missing a dove or something. And I hear from backstage, cantaloupe, and he runs side stage. Like I was like, we're off to a great start. So I had to stretch from the get go because the first performer who didn't need the safe word used it immediately.
Use the safe word,
and so because of the name, I thought that was you for a moment, and that's what. So if the email made no sense, that's why. And then I realized I was like, wait, that because I saw your pictures in your show, and I'm like, that's not him at all. Who the hell was I talking to? Who the hell yelled cantaloupe? So I'll figure it out. It'll come to me. I'll figure it out. We have some folks on Twitch. I just want to say a quick shout out to Tinker Glitch. Thank you for watching. And Cypher, thank you. I am not only the only Magic Mike you know, I'm the only Magic Mike you need to know. I just heard from William Watt, who said that I think he's saying that it's middle of the night and maybe he's not available. Michel Huyot is in Italy right now, so he said he wasn't available for the after party. And I think Scott was at dinner, so we'll see if he comes back now. Because this Twitch streamer Cypher is watching on stream right now, I want to show you a video of something funny. I gotta find it. But you're familiar with there's a movie where they stole my stage name since I was 13 was Magic Mike, and then this actor, I believe his name is Chanting Scrotum, if that's how it's pronounced, stole my name, and he made a movie about male strippers. And since then, of course, I've basically used the hashtag not that Magic Mike. So when I started this Twitch channel, it just made sense to do that. So what happened was he was playing I do virtual reality games as well. He's playing a virtual reality game, and someone had requested the song which was the song from the movie, from the song Pony, Genuine Pony. So I'm gonna try to pull up. So I made a clip really quick. What happened was during that song, who he didn't know me, I had never been in a stream before. I came in right on that song as not that Magic Mike. So there's your backstory of what's happening. So let's see if I can pull this up really quick, and then we'll move on from there. But I gotta share this. Okay, share screen. Is it gonna be? Oh no, it's not. It's share. It's gonna be share a video file. No, it's not video file. Where is it? Oh.
Just how it goes.
Do you know the song? The Pony song?
No. I do not know the song.
Oh, I got it. Okay. Well, you'll know it in a moment.
Okay.
Here we go.
Thank you for the follow. Not that Magic Mike. Wait, it's not that Magic Mike. It's not that Magic Mike.
How does he do that?
It's no way. no fucking way.
I did when I played it.
Yeah,
too.
I remember that. And now I'm like, wait.
OMG, how do you do that?
Oh my goodness.
That is creepy even. How the hell?
That's funny.
Yeah.
Not that Magic Mike said, #72 magic. Larissa said, LUL. It must be someone we know.
Mm-hmm.
Freak VR said,
So I pop in right on that song, and it freaks him out because like, how does not that Magic Mike pop in on the Magic Mike song
That's
and
funny.
give him a follow right then?
There you
And
go.
he's watching the stream tonight. So, and as he
Oh,
pointed out,
funny.
I'm the only Magic Mike he knows. I'm the only one he needs to know.
That's right. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So,
Absolutely.
I'm the OG Magic Mike.
The OG.
So, one thing I was going to ask you about that's relevant to me. I was looking at some of your promo, and the picture that I used for the pose contest is probably from a while back, right?
Oh yeah. You think?
And yeah, exactly. So, talk to us about the transition there, because I've gone through the same thing where like basically all of my old promo became obsolete when I decided to just go gray and quit dyeing my hair completely. While people love this, it still meant that I had to start from scratch, because you can easily see, unless I have the hat on tilted, you can easily tell that, okay, that's not him anymore.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about to that end of like transitions.
I mean, I'm still transitioning that from my, like, if you look at my website is like, all right, that's still those old photographs. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking to a photographer recently, and so we're just planning on, gonna do a shoot within the next month or two to get some new material. I mean, for a couple of reasons. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know a lot of magicians that love photo shoots. It's just like, you do your photo shoot, you pay your photographer, you get your however many good shots, and like, you use those forever. But I mean, one of the reasons just to keep them up to date is for the simple fact that, like, my style has changed. I mean, I don't wear the same style of clothing typically anymore when I'm on stage that I did back when I was taking those shots. I mean, that was a time period where I was really focused on corporate entertainment and being in front of professional groups and stuff like that. And at this point in the ball game, I mean, I can put on a suit just like anybody, but I would much prefer to be in a pair of jeans with a John Varvatos shirt on and something like that, because that's way more who I am as a performer. And even
you are from Tennessee.
Even to a certain extent, as someone who is like I was happy to play that game where it's like, okay, I'm going to dress a certain way because this is how the client expects me to dress. But, like I said, I've been studying comedy, and I just look at these comedians, and these comedians just wear whatever the hell they want to wear. They do not care, except for, the occasional, you've got some corporate guys who are going to put on the corporate suits. But I mean, even like, I'll tell you, I have Tourette syndrome. When I do not, and I will not, and if you read my book, in the very first few pages of the book, I will tell you that I will not wear a collared shirt and I will not wear a tie. And the reason is because anything that comes up around my neck exacerbates all the tics that come out.
Really?
And so it's like tics times 10. And
okay,
so, like,
why is that though? Why does
I don't know. It's just some sort of a trigger. When I have stuff up around my neck, it fires off all these tics. And so even at my wedding, I didn't wear a collared shirt and a tie, and my wife was fine with that because and so I won't even do it. And so I've gotten to the point more and more. The more I advocate for people with Tourette syndrome, the more I kind of take a bit of an attitude where it's like, look, if you're hiring me to do what I do, then you're going to get me. And that's how it's going to be. And I mean, I will put on a jacket if you want me to, but at the end of the day, I'm going to do the things that I need to do in order to be the best version of me on that stage in front of you and your audience. And so, like, it's funny. Like I was talking to the photographer and I was trying to describe what I wanted. And the photographer was like, okay, so you just really want to go in a different direction. And I was like, well, number one, I've got facial hair now. I don't have, I've cut off all my hair on top of my head. So like, I look wildly different. So let's go in a wildly different direction. So I think that's just something that takes time though, from your video clips to everything. You just kind of have to just make, it may take you a year. It might take longer than that.
And it really shouldn't prohibit anything, and it shouldn't be part of the decision making process. The fact that you realize, oh, awesome video I did 10 years ago is no longer relevant. I mean, they tell you in the acting field, every 6 months you should be posting new versions of new photos of yourself and keep your headshots relevant. So it makes perfect sense. But I have the same thing on my website. Like, luckily everything's kind of in black. I chose all black and white on the website. So I could kind of get away with it. And luckily, because I like wearing the hat, I wear the fedora, so you can't tell as easily. But basically, I've had to, reach the conclusion that so much of my past stuff has become sort of obsolete.
Well, how about I don't know how long ago this was, 10, 15 years ago, when all of a sudden high definition cameras were everywhere. I had a ton of great video footage that was not high definition. And within a very short period of time, I had a ton of other magicians who were shooting on high definition because they were shooting on high definition, the image quality was so much better. What they were showing, the content wasn't better, but because the image was better, like the perception of the viewer was that, oh, well, this is better video than what this other guy's got. And I was like, well, it's not if you're looking at the content, but the quality. And so like, I mean, I remember that was a sore spot for me. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to redo all my promotional material because of the technology's changed.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I had lunch today with some awesome folks from Michigan that help run Michigan Magic Day. And they were talking about my good friend Alex Osborne and the fact that they were blown away by his performance at their convention. That how did we never hear of him? Well, he was a street performer, and think about most street performers. When you ask them for some promo, they've got some grainy cell phone footage that somebody's done, and because that's all they've used, they haven't needed that type of promo work, and their work is in the street. But yet, when you watch their act, you see some of the most amazing magic you've ever seen in your life. You're like, how can you judge just based on high quality video? But yet that's the age that we're in, that the guy with the highest quality wins because he had a good promo put together. And so we have to go through those chains. We have to
when I was
do it.
So I mean, I was the entertainment director at House of Cards here in Nashville for a year, and I would always tell people,
I didn't realize that. I just sent an email to them saying that when
I'm not there. I'm not the entertainment director anymore, but that's Joey.
He was a bouncer at the Magic Castle, right?
Yeah.
All right.
And so but I always told people, I said, hey, listen, you have to send me performance video because it's too easy for you to send me a 2-minute long video of people reacting. And I didn't actually see you do anything. I don't know if you're any good. I just know that people reacted well to what you did.
Yeah. I mean, look at yours, like newscasters. How easy is it? How easy is it to blow them away?
There's a place for.
They barely even think. They just read off a teleprompter.
There's a place for a sizzle reel, and then there's a place for actual like content. Like you can. I mean, no offense, but I mean, you can sell any neophyte event planner that you're unbelievable based on a sizzle reel, and they don't have any clue what they're looking at.
Yeah,
it's only the people who are experienced that have been around long enough that say, okay, I need to actually see this person performing. I need to see that they know how to make a transition, that they don't and ah the entire time that they're on the stage, that they have a direction as far as what they're doing. I mean, at the end of the day, you
make a promo to some techno music. Just put some techno music in there and like, wow, this guy's incredible.
I mean, hey, you can have a very nice career fooling event planners all day long if that's what you want to do.
For sure. Oh, hey, Meadows in chat. Hello, Meadow Perry, who will also
Hey.
be in attendance in Pittsburgh, who was the
Yes.
star of the show at the last IBM.
That's right. I remember that. That was great. That was super fun. That's a fun. Meadow has a great act. Super, super fun.
She's like the juggler at the convention because her act is so
Oh,
unique.
oh,
to
it's
variety.
so
Like,
unique.
Bubbles.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
cool. No, it's super cool. Yeah.
Love it. I'll double check. So William Watt sent the message like, sorry, I didn't see your message. I'm just waking up. I was like, join us. I don't
That's
know what
fun.
happened to Scott. I thought for sure we were going to get like a play-by-play. See what he had go. Oh, here we go. Let's see. But it's not Thursday. What is that supposed to mean? Okay, that tells me nothing. His response is it's not Thursday.
Maybe he thought this happens on Thursday.
Or he thought I said it's an excuse to drink. Fix a drink. Maybe he thought he drinks on Thursday. Yeah, I'm not sure what. Yeah. Well, William Watt is now following me on Twitch. William, look back at the message. There's a StreamYard link. So all you have to do is click on that and you can join us just like
William
you did
probably doesn't
before.
even have any clothes on. He just woke up.
William, you don't have to have clothes on. You don't even have to. Actually, that'd be amazing if he joined us with no shirt on. William, don't put a shirt on.
William, put a shirt on.
We want. There's a StreamYard link in that Facebook message, so please join us. So William not only was at 4F, but he accidentally stayed for Monty because his plane got delayed.
Oh.
And he thought he was performing all of a sudden because he was apparently on the last Monty before like the pandemic. He was on the what do you call it? The name badge thing, the list of close-up performers. So he wakes up and sees somebody's badge and goes, "Oh, I guess I'm performing," because it still had his name on it.
Oh my god!
And so, but he didn't have to perform, but he got to attend the events and hang out with us and see the stage show for Monty, and had a great time. Do you remember his act? Because I'd like to talk about it a little bit because it kind of freaked everybody out. He matched not only
amazing.
2 Rubik's cubes, but three.
My gosh. With
three
the
Rubik's
Rubik's cube, the 3 Rubik's cubes. I remember thinking like, so I'm watching and I'm like, I remember how well he commanded the stage because that's something that's important to me. It's not important to all magicians because everybody has the thing that they're into. I am really fascinated by performers who can really own the space. And he did. He walked on stage. He had command of the space, powerful voice, knew exactly what he was going to say. So he was well scripted. And his routine was killer. I remember thinking to myself, okay, I've seen a couple of Rubik's Cube acts before. And okay, this is cool. And I like where this is going. But there was a certain point, and I don't remember when it was, but there was a certain point when I was like, okay, I have no idea how he's doing any of this stuff. This is crazy.
Yeah. I was watching from the side and I kind of, because I emceed that show. So I was kind of having to see by the reaction, gauge what was happening. And it was like, it was kind of what you were saying about you don't necessarily need the visual if you know what the object is. I'm having to realize that ain't right. Like, wait a minute. How did that just, if what they're relating to me based on their response of what happened, how did that happen? That doesn't make any sense. And then nobody really talks about it after. And I told him, I was like, by the way, nobody knows how the hell you did any of that. I'm just letting you know because I don't know. And if they're not admitting, they don't know either. That was
agree with
incredible. And I gotta give props to him because I saw him his first 4F when Obi put him on the last show, the last gala.
Oh my gosh.
And
wow.
Yeah, he had his silver suit on, looking all slick. And his card effect, because Obi was blown away having seen him win, I think, the French national championship. And so he put him on the last gala. Nothing worked. Everything completely borked. Everything failed. it was like one of it was such a cringe moment of like, oh my God, this guy, like complete failure, no way to pull out, no way to improv it. He was just like, had to apologize. I'm sorry, I failed. And I'm thinking like this poor guy, just because he looks like the French Black James Bond, he's not coming back. He will not show his face here again, because that was a definition of a bomb. And the next year, he walked on stage and owned it, just like you said. He owned the crowd, and I'm going like, the confidence of this guy to like bomb at 4F and then come back and then take it. Wow. Yeah. And we've been friends ever since. I'm like, I got to know this guy. Yeah.
It's huge. It's huge. No, I really enjoyed his performance because, you see some acts at 4F that you just kind of like, okay, that's unbelievable what I'm saying. And it's obvious that they're great magicians. Maybe they're great technicians. They're great at routining or coming up with, their own ideas. The thing that just, I perform for audiences who are, as a general rule, just normal folks. And so I am always the most impressed by the people that I know that if an audience of normal folks were sitting there, they would be entranced by their performance. That's the type of stuff. And if the magic blows me away too, then it's like the double you're getting hit twice. A great performance and unbelievable magic. And that's what William did.
And speaking of which, he has a shirt on, unfortunately, but here he is.
Hi, guys.
Calling us from paradise. Great to see you.
Great to see you. Wow, so nice. I apologize. I couldn't. How are you, Jason?
Very well. Good to see you.
Oh my God! Thank you for the nice words, guy. Because I actually was listening, and the first time at 4F was crazy time. Actually, I didn't have the silver suit. It was the second time. That's why you remember me.
Oh, I remember this. Okay.
Oh, it was
silver suit.
Black tuxedo. It was like a big stress. I felt like I agree with you, Michael. It may have been my last time as well. It was a crazy moment, but a lot of stress. I'd rather forget all of this. But thank you for the kind word regarding. Oh yes, I tell you.
But the point is, you overcame it, and your confidence brought you back even stronger, and that was what was amazing to me. Oh no, he froze. All right, everybody take a good look at him.
I'll just say, since he froze, there is a lot to be said for someone who looks, has that experience and says, well, you know what, I'm just gonna go straight into it. I'm gonna steer into the skid, so to speak, and I'm gonna go after it again. That shows a lot of character.
But the thing is, the main thing is that when I did this act, it's really not my stuff. I did this kind of act for close-up, for competition, and it's not my stuff because I'm performing. I'm a performer. I'm a close-up performer. So performing close-up for a competition is really not my comfort zone.
Right.
So as soon as I could, I would go back to what I'm used to, which I'm comfortable with. I was sitting at the table. A lot of things were not comfortable with me.
Yeah.
And even that being said, the second time I came with a ring act, and the ring act is something I would do every single night, kind of 10 times a night. And even that act didn't work on my second time. I didn't
remember that. Really?
I remember I dropped the ring, and at one point I think nobody noticed, but it was like, really? Like, there's no chance. There's no chance. And it happened. And literally, it took me 7th time to walk on stage and walk out of the stage exactly the way I wanted, which was this year. And
wow.
and on top of that, I got a notice from Joanne and from Glenn by the end of March, because probably people were not showing up at 4F. And it was very short because I was about to take the plane a few days after, and I was not ready to get something prepared specifically for 4F this year. It was a short notice. And so, okay, I just go on and I would do my cube act. And sorry, guys, I know I will not fool you. and but I will do something I really enjoyed and I've been working a little bit on. So you have no idea how it was for me when everybody came and said you fooled us, because really
You
I was
fooled
just
everyone.
Yeah.
Anybody who says that you didn't fool them is lying.
I agree.
Yeah, you fooled everybody.
Well,
Probably
at
even
the
Stephen.
end,
Probably even Stephen Brundage. You talk with Stephen Brundage after about your Cube Act. I was
I
there.
don't know. Yeah, but I don't know if he you know, there was so much stuff going on, but he enjoyed it for sure. And I was thinking, you know, you could, you know, I thought it was easy to understand, but it was most of a building of sharing my vision on it, my take on it. But it was a real honor because, you know, I'm on this beautiful island. That's what I see in the morning. See, this beautiful.
Wait. How
it's
did
a
you do
bit-
that? You moved your hand and the clouds appeared. Do that again. Wait, how did? Oh my God! This guy's a true wizard. Do you see this?
It's
See,
beautiful.
let me disappear.
Nice. Wow, that's impressive.
That was
Literal
incredible.
magic.
Well, that's magic.
It's because when I'm here, I catch the light. See, that's
Yeah.
me. And now I'm not in the light anymore, so now you can see the clouds.
Ah.
Look at that.
So yes, and it was just awesome when I realized that I could.
Mauritius.
Yeah, Mauritius. So you know, I'm on my little island here, and I'm very excited because it's a real balanced way of living. Because
Which
I'm
was
here.
named after a stripper, by the way.
Magic
Welcome to the
Mauritius.
stage, delicious Mauritius.
But yeah, I'm here. It's a beautiful island. It's a nice place to more and more concentrate on my craft and more on my personality. And when I came back to the US, I could feel like I'm not away from anything. I'm just still in the game, even though I'm not sharing the magic as I used to when I was in Paris. But I'm glad I'm still in the game, and putting you with the cube was great.
That's
And
fantastic.
I really
if
want to
you-
watch that act again. I'd love to. If you have any video, well, you probably can't send us
I
a
do.
video clip now, but
I do have a video, but not now for you. But
Okay. We'll
what
make it
you want to listen about this is that, first of all, this act, unfortunately, as it's not designed for competition, is a 13-minute act,
sure.
13 to 15, depending on the interaction with the audience. And of course, I only had 7 minutes for ref.
Yeah.
And I would email Joanne and Glenn and say, you know what, I need 30 minutes. Is it 13 minutes? Is this okay? She said, no, you know, we were not able to accept for many people, so you have to stick to 7 minutes. And it was really becoming a real nightmare for me because I was thinking, because the problem in that routine, and obviously they couldn't know because they have no idea about how it goes, but if I just cut something, the ending would not work. And all is building from the very first beginning to the end. So it's like a very it's building all the time. And there was no way for me to squeeze it except for going very quick into the routine. And the weird thing with for ref is that nobody reacts to your effect because nobody laughs at your joke, nobody claps at your effect. So it was very easy to go da, 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 da. And I could go for 9 minutes, but I knew there was no it was not a long moment. I know there was something always happening, so I was just run and go and finish this act so I could bring you the final. Because actually, this is the piece the only piece I'm able to cut is the third cube. This is the final piece I can cut, and this would have fit into 6 minutes, 7 minutes. But
that's the heart of it.
I knew this is the part. Even if I was not expecting to fool you guys, I knew it was an interesting piece. That was my position. I knew that was a nice building. And then here we are. So thank you guys for, I feel like I just made a little step with this moment, and it was great for me. So thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you for supporting, because here I'm back in Mauritius, very motivated to work on my magic more and more and focus on, my books and stuff. I'm very excited about it.
That's great.
Do you remember Lucy Darling's line when she says, magicians are so polite, you don't interrupt with things like applause or laughter?
Yeah.
Oh, she made it. as well.
You
She
magicians
was
are
great.
so fly. Oh, she rocked it.
Oh,
Yeah,
she
that's
rocked
Hey,
that's
you
why.
guys
That's
continue. I gotta bounce. I hate to say that to you, but
oh,
I gotta go.
no
Y'all
problem.
keep
No,
talking.
you have been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
You've
much.
done everything I wanted and beyond, including a great promo for the convention. So I'll keep William here for a little bit since it's early morning there and we're looking at Paradise. And
Sounds
we'll
good.
say goodnight to Jason Michaels. And if not sooner, I will see you in Pittsburgh.
Sounds good. I'll see you then.
Thank you so
Michael,
much. I appreciate it. Oh,
see you. Oops, here we go. Bye bye,
yeah.
Jason. Bye bye.
Can you pan it? Can we take a nice look at the? I mean, none of us have been to
That's you.
Mauritius. Can we? Yeah, can we pan across and
Okay.
see the island?
That's the new place I'm living. So I've been
Wow.
here for about not a year yet because you were used to the pool, but now it's a different place. It's even better. The apartment is great because I need a really proper office, so I have. And there's 2 huge pools by there. You can't see them from here, but it's like I can really take a good swim. And of course, you have this is the lagoon. Okay, let me tell you some more. So this is the lagoon. Over there, you have an island called, if you can see it right there.
Yeah, in the
right
distance.
there, right there. It's called Round Island. Behind there's another island, and very close here it is a nice distance island as well, which is called sorry, I forget my words in English. Sorry, apologies. Île d'Ambre, Amber Island. And Amber, this is what you see here is just a lagoon. Which
Amber
means
is
that,
also a stripper name, so that you've used a lot of.
Yeah, that's her.
There's like
that's
a
her
theme
island.
going.
That's her island. Yeah, she's just living right there on this side.
Amber.
Sometimes I can see her.
And on the side
for
stage,
free.
gentlemen, give it up for Amber.
So this is great because this is a lagoon, like a big pool, which is not very deep, and I can do some canoe here. But on the end there, you can't see really. You can see the reef.
Yeah.
And in a couple of weeks now, probably, let's say by July, okay, I will be able to see the whales.
Oh.
Yes, because it is the time of the year. It's going to be winter here, and the whales come in the Indian Ocean to give birth. So I can see the whale in a distance. So sometimes I would see the baby jumping out of the water because that's how they do. And also I could see the water. So that's how I can see if they are here or not. Just without my spectacles, it's okay. With not, but that's it. That's the nice story about how I am now.
I mean, everything is so picturesque and beautiful, except that it looks like you're wearing a Rams jersey. But other than that, I mean, it kind of ruins it. But except for the Rams jersey, I don't know what happened. Where did that come from?
I can put another one for you if you want. You know what? It's so nice to be with you. As you know now, I have my best magic trick I've done, which
best
is
magic trick ever.
I'm a dad now.
Yeah.
And so my little
3 weeks,
Grace,
3 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah,
4 weeks
she's
old?
3 weeks now. Yeah,
3 weeks old.
She's
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, she's a beautiful baby.
Wow.
It's a lot of
two
joy.
more, and you can do a juggling routine. Especially when they're little. Yeah,
exactly. That would be fun. So yeah, it's a nice adventure, and now everything takes a different meaning. So
yeah,
this is a beautiful life that is starting as well. It has been an awesome month in the US in April. Yes.
Well,
for the first time,
I really want to come visit you out there. I got to make that happen. I've got to see that for myself.
Oh my God. I have goosebumps. See, maybe you can't see, but they're here all over this body. Cross your fingers because I'm really working on something. I will not say more here because I think I want to keep it. But many guys know about it already.
Okay.
Maybe you know about it already. And for some reason, I thought this was over. You know, sometimes you just feel like, okay, these guys don't answer. I mean, I don't have news. You know, I don't have news. So let's see. and I thought that maybe it's not the moment, it's not the place, it's not whatever. So just that's how I feel. I'm very into letting things happen. So I would just let things happen. And I just came back, and I just had a meeting last night about it.
Oh, nice.
So it's still, they are still very fond of the project. So that's
Okay.
a good point, which
Love
means that this is a very beautiful thing, and I'm not doing it only for myself. I believe that I can contribute to the magic community just this big, but I'm very excited about it because I can't wait to find the best way to welcome people, new foresters guys that are listening, magicians from all around the world. I'd love to have you here and perform, and that would be just fun. And so this work is still being is still on this project. Is still on.
Are there any little islands that haven't been named yet? Because if I come there, I want an island named Juicy after me.
Let's see. From here, there is this little rock in the sea. Maybe this little rock there, you won't see it, but if you come, there's a little rock. I'm sure nobody tried to name it, so I can, even if you want, I can go tomorrow and write your name on that rock.
I would love that, actually, and then I have to come and claim it for sure. It would be absolutely hilarious right now is because I know you're in absolute paradise, and because I've interviewed you before when you're on this island, but it'd be hilarious if somehow you just hit a switch and it was all green screened and you're really just in your apartment. You're like, this background's not even real. I just fooled everybody.
That would be great. I'd love that,
yeah, it's all green screen. He's not really there.
Well,
that's why he has a Rams jersey. He's in Los Angeles. This is why he has a Rams jersey on.
I thought I thought you knew it was a green screen already.
Yeah.
No.
It almost looks too perfect. That's what gave it away. Yeah. I'm like, that's too perfect. This can't be real. It's green screen.
Okay, let's just wait a second. I can't wrap it down. Sorry, I apologize. I can't take it. So you were a great MC for Foref. I
thank
really
you.
enjoyed having you as a great MC. I love your style, your personality. It was fun to be introduced by you, and yeah, we had a great show for the opening gala.
I think so. I think we really set the pace. We set the tone. Now my next question to you was going to be, what was your takeaway? But I wouldn't expect you to go like, oh, you as MC, but no, thank you. And I sent a message to Joan and said, hey, I loved being the opening, and I love getting it over with, and then I don't have to be nervous at all the rest of the time. I can just hang out, chill out, and enjoy the rest of the convention. I was like, hey, is this a tradition maybe we're starting? Where I get to MC the opening show. But who knows? But what would you say, what stands out in your mind as your takeaway from that amazing 50th anniversary event? Because that's what we were going to talk about during this after party is 4F and what we gathered from that.
All right. Well, clearly for me, it was really seeing all the friends. Then from the shows, wow, there was so much stuff, I actually really enjoyed yourself as a juicy darling. That's one thing I will never forget.
You were surprised, I take it, yeah?
Well, I'm still confused, I just feel like
confused. Wow. Everybody in the room was confused. Some people, including Joan Caesar, had to be told that it was me. At what point did you know it was me? Was it right away? Like,
well, as soon as I saw your legs, your sexy legs, I knew it was you.
You saw the legs.
Just shave them next year, and you'll have a lot of success.
I would have, because I believe in I believe in staying true to a character. That's not the comedy I was going for. Well, I think it's funny to, try to be all sexy and have Meadow do my makeup and then have hairy legs. I get why that's funny. That's not the element of comedy I'm going for. I'm going for the impression itself. And so being the actor that I am, I wanted to stay true to the character. And if I had had the time and a proper razor that I would have hurt myself, I would have totally shaved my legs, just to stay true to the character. I mean, I experienced more pain than I ever have in my life with those high heels.
I
So
believe you.
yeah, that was extremely painful. Louis Vuitton can kiss my ass. Okay, and I would never spend that kind of money on shoes that are, I would say, they should use in torture. They should use that to interrogate terrorists, make them wear those shoes and walk around in circles like they will talk, because that was so pain. I didn't think I was going to survive. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make it out there. I'm just going to have to try to block it out of my mind. That's how painful those shoes were. Unbelievable.
Well,
I don't know why women do that.
well, I don't know if it's Louis Vuitton's problem or if it's the people that buy them, you know.
Yeah, really. Like, why
You
are
know?
they buying this stuff? You know?
Because at the end, it's just they are allowed to sell whatever they want, you know. If you're crazy enough to buy it just because it's written
Okay.
Louis Vuitton on it,
Yeah,
you know, I
just
think
because it's Louis Vuitton. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
incredible.
Make yourself comfortable, you know.
Right.
So talking about I mean, not the competition, but all the acts. There were so much stuff. I would need to take a look on everything. I really enjoyed Juliana Chen with the ring act.
Oh yeah.
This I had very clear in my mind. It was a very beautiful piece. Of course, I have a very great memory of Michael Amar, because he's one of my mentors, and I had the chance to see him once again, because I saw him in lecture a long time ago in Paris. But this was feeling for me what, wow, I really get to meet my mentors, you know, even if you didn't know I'm his generation. I've learned so much from him and stuff, so that was just amazing. And also,
And isn't it
yeah,
crazy that we saw him getting, we witnessed him getting his second certificate from Sean Farquhar? Like, how is it that Michael Amar is getting his bachelor's degree from
yeah,
Florida?
exactly, you know. So that's for me great. I really loved Chris Capperhart. This was for me a big lesson. And a big lesson, why? Because I heard you guys talking about street performers. And I believe that street performers are killers for the main reason that the condition they work in push them to be killing the stage. And when you see somebody like Chris Capperhart, it just felt like, wow, this guy knows his stuff. And the way he shows his act and his character on stage, the way he builds things up, it was amazing. With a piece of paper put on the table like that, that was just.
And I'm pretty sure everybody, because I looked around at everyone's faces, that's another situation where whether they want to admit it or not, everybody was fooled. I have no idea. I have no idea how he did that. He used the force. He was using the force on a piece of paper.
Yes,
it made no sense. It made no sense at all. I really have no idea.
And you know, all this stuff, it was beautiful. It was very beautiful. I really have this very clear in my mind as well. And of course, I really enjoyed Eric Decamp show. It was a pleasure, because it's also a show a lot of the personality of the person of who Eric is, and the way what kind of magic he loves to perform, and the way we build his show. It was very, very, very nice. Very nice. I really enjoyed to be in this immersive, you say, understand that word, yeah? Immersive world of his, to be into his world.
Immersive, yeah, immersive.
Immersive.
Yeah, that was that's an example of a very well constructed, I guess, hour-long presentation, like a very well constructed hour-long presentation, from one thing to the next, and very interactive as well with the audience.
Yes. Oh yes, yes.
What time is it? Yeah. What time is it there?
It is 7:40.
Oh my God.
7:14 in the morning.
AM.
and I have only 20% of battery on this phone. So
That's okay. I'm
I
gonna
hope-
let you go pretty soon because I've definitely done even a longer show than I intended. But what? So why were you awake so early other than being in paradise? Like why? How did you get my message and realize that you could still catch me? Like what? You're a professional magician. What are you doing up at 7 in the morning?
Well, because I pay attention to that. I normally, ideally, would be in bed very very early at night.
Oh,
Especially
okay.
last night, I had no shows, so it was easier. And I'm still a little bit jet lagged. So, and especially also with the baby, you get a
Oh
pretty
yeah.
early morning sometime. So this is the
That's
first thing.
true. You have a new. That's something new. That's right. I didn't think about that. That's something new in your life that could definitely. My cat wakes me up at 6 a.m. So I imagine a baby's a whole nother thing. Yeah. Wow.
Exactly. So then after, I read your message last night. And I just felt like, okay, it's going to happen soon. Okay. I just read very quickly. And then this morning, for some reason, I will say tonight. Well, tonight is still okay because there's a time difference. And then I realized, well, let's just see on my timer, on my the clocks I have in my phone, and I see New Orleans. Oh, 9:30 already. Well, it's on. So let's
Yeah.
just listen, and that's it. And
Yeah. That's when I saw your message. You were like, "Oh, it's sorry, I missed your message. It's 9:30." I'm like, join us. We're on now. It's live now. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you made it too. That was great. It was Jason and I talking for a while. I kind of hit everybody at the last minute. I sent the message to about 10 people to try to see who I could bring out to discuss 4F. But you have been a dream. This has been perfect and great reminiscing about what happened at the convention there. And I think it just goes to show the fact that we see where you are. If you're going to leave that to come hang out with us in Buffalo, New York, that just goes to show what an amazing, prestigious event it is to be part of the 4F community, because this guy's leaving paradise to come hang out with us.
Well, the paradise is nice, but the working conditions are very different. There's no working condition actually. So it means that I would perform close up, but mostly in hotels, which is a different pace than all the shows I've been doing in corporate event in Europe. It's completely different. And at one point, especially, it was my first trip after 4 years since lockdowns and stuff. So I need 4Fs. I need it. It's we're working. Most of us, we are professional performers, and we are working on our own. So this is for me the moment of the year where I can get something that fixes me as well. I need to achieve something, and I learn a lot of stuff. And each time I come back from 4F, and this time in particular as well, it's just giving me like new energy, new goals. I'm telling you, I have a library of books. I'm not opening my books because I'm used to go in a different way of working. I'm going to open my book much more. I have very little knowledge about history of magic. Why? Because I didn't need it at that time, and I was into another reason. Now I want to go deeper into it. I want to organize myself differently because I realized that most of my career was based on my comfort zone. I think it's not. I'm not proud to say it, but I've mostly been doing magic using my comfort zone, with just doing what I like, and not necessarily focusing hardly. I did focus hardly on few things, but at the end, it was still in my comfort zone. And now I realize that if I work a bit more seriously, I can create something. And I want to be in 4F and keep on, bringing stuff, new stuff, and sharing. And so I want to take this place. I mean, I want to. I've received my invitation for 4F. It's a real honor, and especially when I received it from Obi, it means a lot. But now I just want to be better and better. We are magicians. We don't need to prove anymore or to ask if we are magician or not. We are. This is not something everybody's there. It's clear. But then now I want to show, yes, William Watt is going better and better. And this year for me was really a game changer. Really, at the 7th time, it was like, wow, this is the first time I walk out of the stage and having people coming to me and say, you fooled us. I remember how it feels when you just fail on stage. Nobody's coming to you. Everybody's knowing you and say, hey, how are you? I'll never forget that feeling, It's like, hey, how are you? Huh? All right.
Wow.
And you just walk like this. And go, okay. I remember my act. So you just feel so well when you made it, and when you also your stuff makes his way very well on stage and fools. That once again, I'm not a magician fooler, so it's always an honor if I can, but this is not my ambition. I'd rather share something which I think is worth sharing. Like every idea I've shown. The latest one, I remember the signed card I did with Mike Powers. That was the lovely stuff I did with him. It was a creation. I think people had no idea that it was not pre-show. I think most people may think it was a pre-show. It was done on live, and I've shared the method on the Forest group, how I did it, because I believe it's an effect worth sharing. Because if you want to do it to a celebrity, I think it's the best conditions for the setup of this effect. So it's a signed card by someone that appears in their phone with the Phantom card or the Rainbow card by SEO Magic. So it's my take on it, and I have also other idea that I have shared on the video in 2019. This video is on the Forever group, so just look for it. It was a pleasure to create this effect and to be able to perform it live. Mm-hmm.
Cool, I love it. You have inspired all of us. I wish it was 7:30 in the morning here, because I want to get my day going now, because you've inspired me. This was just a perfect ending to what has been a great broadcast, better than I expected. I miss you.
I miss you. I love you, Michael.
I want to come see you. I want to come hang out there, and you got to come hang out here too, because you've been in America but not here. Yeah, I mean you can't wear that jersey, but we'll figure it out.
I will be in the US for 3 months next year.
Yes. Beautiful.
So
all right.
Hopefully I'll organize myself to come and visit you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And absolutely. I was really hardly thinking and talking about you during that meeting last night, because I was thinking the guys are ready to come,
for sure.
And
I want to meet, I want to see the whales. I know you got to go talk to the whales. I want to go do close-up magic for the whales.
Not here yet. It's in a couple of weeks now. I mean, maybe it can be tomorrow, because I have no idea what the temperature of the water. These animals, they move because of the temperature of the water. But clearly, it should be in 2 months. But clearly, I'm really looking forward to bring all the Forever guys here, give the proper, the best I can conditions so they can come and perform here. And still yesterday, I told you during this meeting, I was talking about you, because you're the guy who, when you introduced me, you said, yeah, we have to go and visit this guy. I said, yes, let's do it. So
yeah, I was like, he invited all of us, but not all at once. Not everybody at one time. Yeah. He's not trying to put up 250 people, but yeah, individually, let's go. Yeah, I love that
anyway. So so this is it, and I thank all the Forever community, because they mean a lot to me. And that's for the whole community. I'm very excited also because I have my Forever friends now, after almost 11 years since I got my invitation.
Wow.
And I have friends now that I can call friends in Forever, and you are part of them. And not because the others are not my friends, but as you know, it's such a big convention. It's hard for me to stay and focus on one person and get to know everybody. But more and more, it's great because we get to know a few more people every single time. I feel also more confident about, I don't look shy, but I'm not so easy to stay and discover at first. And then now I just feel like I'm taking more and more this time. I'm taking more and more confidence in my work. I'm taking more and more time to discover other people and to sit and just talk, which is great. And then I have every year some more new friends from Foref. And I had a chance to meet people like Jason when I was in Nashville. And other people like Terry also when I was in Nashville, which would give us the opportunity to meet each other. I had Stephen Bargatze that showed up when I was in Nashville. That was like, you have no idea how I felt. I was like,
awesome.
What? Really? It was beautiful because, this is my people. I love him. And I was like, really? Wow. That was just crazy. And the we were all Forefers at the Magic Castle the week before.
Nice.
Week before Foref. So there was a bunch of things happening which gave me more opportunity to meet more and more people and to share as well, even though it's a short moment. When they come, it's very great, and that's it.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go, and you take care of that baby, and then in a couple weeks perform for the. I don't want to see your jersey, but I actually, it reminds me, I have something for you here. I wanted to show you. Look at that. Look at this right here. Like, let's do a clip for Roger. I'll clip it. We'll send it to him. Yeah.
Roger,
What's up,
yeah,
Roger?
you got it.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. You
Got it. All right.
Oh my
I love
God,
you, my
no.
friend, and thank you so
Love
much
you.
for being part of this. I'll come see you in Paradise soon. We'll catch up, and I just love that you were here.
Thank
So
you for the
inspirational.
good job, Michael. Thank you for keeping it up, and stay well, and wishing you all the best.
All right, this one's for real.
I'm holding the phone with the other hand.
Yes. Yeah. See you soon,
Take
my
care,
friend.
Michael.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.